Sports 1440.
Body shot, right hand. He's in trouble again. Here in this 8th round. It's all in the way. It's all over. In the way. It's great.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
10 seconds to go. The chip with an opportunity. This is a block for second. Can you believe it? 5 minutes.
Well, a magnificent Monday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks as always for joining us. It's a lovely Monday. Just a reminder to everybody, please do not throw your cigarettes out your vehicle. Do everything you can. It is tinder dry, and we don't need forest fires or bush fires or grass fires or anything else. So let's all collectively be as smart as we can, and hopefully that will lower the chances of fires. It's only May, and there's no rain in the forecast here in and around the central Alberta, Edmonton area. So let's be smart, because I think we'd all agree that, hey, summers in Alberta are arguably the best around, but they're brutal when you got smoke all over the place. So let's try to limit that as much as we can. Also, today on the show, it is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor100 and you get a free $100 play at PlayAlberta.ca, where tomorrow, $75 million for a Lotto Max on the day that the Oilers will open up the second round of the playoffs. So get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca, 12 Max Millions as well. Yes, indeed, the Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. We knew that on Friday. We didn't know the schedule. It's been announced. It'll be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday if necessary, and away you go. So Oiler fans, you're getting home games on a Saturday, getting home games on a Friday, and you're also going to have a home game on a Monday. So not bad. Although at this stage of the time, I don't know, does it matter? Also, 7:30 broadcast start time, 7:50 puck drop for games 1 and games 2. Game 3 will be a 7 o'clock broadcast start time in Edmonton with puck drop maybe closer to 7:15. We'll see, but a little bit earlier, which all that means on Saturday night, especially if there's a victory, it's just extra time for strangers to fall in love, or as anybody who's dating knows, all of a sudden a win in your sports life, suddenly it helps. You know what I'm saying? Gets everybody in a better mood. Nice. So it's going to be a great series. We'll break down a lot of the Oilers and Vegas, what's going to be different, what's going to be more challenging, both for the Oilers and Vegas from their first round matchups. Right? The LA Kings play a completely different style than Vegas, and Edmonton offers completely different skill set, number one, but also approach than the Minnesota Wild. And so we'll break all of that down today on the show. We got Ken Boehlke from Vegas will join us right off the hop. Matt Devlin will talk a little NBA playoffs. We got Shane Malloy from Hockey Prospects Radio, the NHL draft. I know Oilers fans, you're not involved, but tonight will be different. It'll be the first time where the draft itself is live when you see who comes out. All the conspiracy theorists now won't have anything to complain about. Oh, I know in the background, man, they wanted this team to win. Like, I remember chuckling after the Oilers when McDavid won. The league wanted him. I'm like, really? You think the league wanted Edmonton again? No chance. Come on. So that will be live tonight at, it starts at 5. The draft probably, they'll drag that out and have the ball come out around 5:15 or 20, I'm guessing. Got the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Another opportunity for you to get in on Here Comes the Sun, to qualify and win a $15,000 solar system for your home, courtesy of Action Electrical. So that comes up in the first segment at 4 o'clock. Spec will join us. We got Woodley, David Dwork as well. We'll talk the one game that's going on tonight to start in the NHL playoffs, which is Toronto and Florida. So loaded, wall to wall. Sean Brown joins us in studio as well. You can always text us 833 401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to go a little bit different in hour number. We're going to spice it up. Everybody's in a good mood, fired up. We'll get your thoughts. We'll go old school. Hey, man, I grew up talk radio. I liked having callers. I know everybody likes to text now more, which is totally fine. But tomorrow we'll turn back the clock a little bit. Who doesn't like retro? And we'll have an open hour of call time and just to hear everybody's opinion. Sometimes, your voice can be different than just what you're texting, shall we say. So that's coming up tomorrow on the show as we preview and start game one. Also today, Rob Blake and the Kings. Now, Rob Blake didn't have a contract. Supposedly he'd been offered a contract for a while ago, courtesy of Frank Sarvalli, but was not signed. And now it's a mutual parting of the ways for Rob Blake. That's step one of the Kings. I got to think the new GM comes in. Usually, not always, but usually you get a new coach as well. So we'll see what that means. John Brown joins us. Brownie, how you doing?
Good. Yeah. I heard you talking about the weather. What just beautiful. I love in Edmonton right now. Over the weekend, spent a little bit of time down in the River Valley with my wife, kind of going for some walks and riding our bikes. It was what a great weekend.
Oh, it was perfect, man. The weather was a little windy yesterday. I'm not going to lie. I'm soft. I'm wearing a blanket standing outside for a soccer match at 6:30 at night. And it's howling out there in the wind. Now, I coach in the wintertime, man. Now, when you're coaching, it's different. I never feel cold. You're in the rink, whatever. Now, I do wear gloves sometimes, light ones, but that's more so just for something else. But, because then if you're clapping, whatever, I just find it's better. But I've never been cold. I'm standing on the sidelines and I'm not coaching. I'm just parenting. So you're not as into the game as much, right? Like you're not walking down the bench, not talking to the kids, encouraging them. You're just standing out there, like kind of cheering. And I'm not a big vocal, yeller or screamer, cheer type of parent. But man, like 50 minutes in, I'm like, holy God, this is the worst. I'm just standing out here freezing. It's not like I got a blanket. I'm like, God, I don't know if I'm getting soft or not, but I find it's different just standing there. And because I've been I don't coach soccer. Sometimes I'll assistant coach a bit, but it's kind of nice just sitting back. But I'll tell you, I find it colder. You're not as engaged. You're not as engaged when you're not the coach.
That's true. I mean, yeah, hockey, you're always in it, right? Especially as a coach. But when you can actually sit back, like, I don't know how you feel, but as a coach, it's just, there's so much going on and the hour goes by and you're kind of like, what just happened? It's kind of like a whirlwind. But when you're actually a parent, right? And I didn't coach my son in baseball. And I used to just love, sitting there and just kind of taking it in and watching, actually just watching your kid and watching how other coaches coach and how they interact, and just, you can, and learning, to be honest with you.
Totally. You can learn different strategies, but it's more so when you coach, you can't just focus on your child when they're on the ice because you got to focus on all the other kids. Yeah. So I find, when I'm just parenting now, when the ball's around him, that's all I care about. I don't watch anybody else. So that part is definitely different. And then, if the other team scores or you score, whatever, it's definitely not as, you're kind of like, I'm definitely more relaxed. That's for sure.
It is funny though. Like you do have those parents that are quite vocal and into it. And that's not me either.
No.
I love to watch. Like
they're yelling all the time.
Yeah.
And I always, and like yesterday, like honestly, I'm like, I'm standing there talking 5 feet from now and we can barely hear each other. You think yelling across the soccer pitch, the kids are going to hear you in the windstorm? Like I'm telling you, it's not happening.
Yeah. And especially it's like, hey man, I got my own eyes. I can see what's going on. Like I don't need you to commentate. I actually just want to sit here in peace.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that part would be true. So you always, and I know there's like, and it's like certain teams, like in hockey, like, like the cowbell and stuff like that. Drives me up.
I don't mind cheering.
If it's the odd time, but when it's just relentless, right? Like on an average, hey, look, we completed a pass. I'm just like, oh my God, like shoot me.
Yeah. I actually don't mind that, but I'm also not the type of person that actually sits within the crowd. I like to find.
Oh, you stand at the end?
I like to find a little space by myself. And like I said, there's usually, I had a buddy that, he liked just to watch the game. I don't like watching it with someone that has to feel like they have to tell me every play and what's going on. And like, that's not for me. I want to sit in silence and I want to just enjoy and watch the game for what it is. But yeah, I mean, the cowbell kind of, when I do see, or, the cowbell, or I remember like the old milk jug full of rocks. Like it was just anything to create noise. I actually didn't mind. That brings back some good memories, so I don't mind that. But I wouldn't want to be that person sitting there.
I have to say, it was first full length soccer for U13, and it was a defensive battle, 7-6. I can't remember it being 13 goals in soccer. I was like, this is great. The back end action, a lot of chance. So it's fun.
What position?
Yeah, he plays striker. He's like his dad. He can run fast, but doesn't have great ball handling skills. Well, he actually has better ball handling skills than I am. But usually your midfielders got to be like your best ball handlers and quick feet like that. So no, he's more of the striker on the outside. But he actually has way better dribbling skills than I did as a kid, just because they practice different things now that we never got taught.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just watched one. I was like, ooh, it's actually pretty nice. So I was impressed, but it's fun. As they get a little bit older now, like soccer there's some physical aspects, like you get into tackles and the ref kind of let more go. So I kind of like that part of it, just watching as you get higher up. I love the young ages sometimes because it was just like chaos and pandemonium and it was awesome. And now there's a little bit more structure and still lots of fun. Yeah. Right. So
it's funny when my daughter played, she wind up, it was stressing her out. She played, for Phoenix, and at that time that was the highest level. And she was getting frustrated. I was like, well, what are you frustrated at? And she's like, well, the coach is always yelling, and the size of the field and how open it is. Yeah. I was like, well, what do you mean? Like I'm watching, he's yelling for you to be in a certain spot. So I'm like, why don't you just listen to him and go there? And then he'll yell at someone else. Don't listen to how loud and how loud he's yelling. Just listen to what he's saying and he'll move on to the next. But that wasn't her sport. We wind up having to move her down to house league because I wanted to keep her playing in a sport. But I just found it funny how she was like, I didn't like him yelling.
But as a coach, you can't just coach one way and assume that every kid's going to adapt to you. There are certain kids, like even at a younger age, some kids, you pat them on the back, whatever. Oh, yeah. If you give them constructive criticism or just challenge them, you can challenge some kids. Other kids, you got to pat on the back. And you have to learn that as a coach at a younger age. And some kids, they don't like to be yelled at. You just have to talk to them directly in the face. Hey, you know what? This is what I want from you. And then, because the other thing is in-game coaching, all the coaching clinics that's the number one mistake, is they overcoach. Like when they come off now hockey's different because you're coming off every shift, right? It's like, oh, do this, do that. Now the kid's overthinking.
I've never understood that, right? You go to a game, especially for hockey, right? They're on the bench, every coach, and you can hear them yelling. And to your point, it's like, man, they cannot hear you out there. But then when you go watch them practice, you don't hear them yelling. You don't hear them saying anything. I'm like, you got it all wrong. I'm like, you coach during practice and you yell and that's coaching. But in a game, just let them play. Like they got it all backwards.
Yeah, that's fair. Oilers, Vegas, completely different styles. LA played man-to-man defense, which I think is really hard, especially when you run only 4 defensemen. Vegas doesn't do that. Vegas will forecheck you way harder. They're also not as passive in the neutral zone, and they're the number one team scoring off the rush. So I want to start, first of all, with the defensive zone of Vegas. They're bigger and longer defensemen. If you're the Oilers, how do you see them attacking differently? Or does it really matter because of the skill set of Edmonton? It's just, you're not going to get as many one-on-one battles that you had against LA because they play a little bit more zone kind of defense in Vegas. Not pure zone defense, but it's kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've all talked about it in their media scrums there about how big and how well and how much ice they actually cover and how good they are with their sticks. The one good thing is the way the game's called and the skill that the Oilers have. They have the ability to protect pucks. They have guys that can make plays under pressure. But I think the simplicity of the playoffs that we're seeing is just getting pucks on net, and especially against a goaltender that I think he's had his moments here too, where I don't think he's playing at his best. And anyone that watched that amazing game between Winnipeg, the Winnipeg game last night, I mean, they started getting success when they simplified their game and just started getting pucks to the net and getting bodies to the net and getting. I think the Oilers are going to have to play a similar style of hockey as you move on in the playoffs. That's, the simplicity is going to be important. So I think, the Oilers, they got some big guys in the lineup too that are going to be able to play heavy. And we talked about it in the last series, right? I mean, every hit, opportunity to be physical is just going to, it's like making deposits again in your bank account, where all of a sudden now the second period, third period, you're kind of setting the table up and you're setting, kind of the tone and the mood for, the series moving forward. So, I mean, the biggest thing is with a good transition team is the puck management, right? Is, knowing guys got to make plays, right? You have to, and the Oilers have guys that can make plays and they have the skill to make plays. It's just knowing when to make it and when not to make it and when to simplify.
I look at the other thing that I think is going to be very different in this series. I think we're going to see way more scrums. I think it's going to be a lot more physical. Vegas is much more aggressive than LA. And like I said on Friday's show, I had a few orders tell me LA guys hit you, but they don't hit you.
Hit to hurt.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
Keegan Kolazar, he's big and he'll hit.
Yeah.
And they're just more aggressive team overall. Their defense core is way bigger and aggressive as well. And the orders, Trent Frederick, Evander Kane, Pod Coles, and Hyman, Nurse, they got enough guys. I just think this is going to be a more emotionally charged series.
And I think that's good. That's good for the Oilers because they need a quick start, right? And so they're a team now, I think, before Frederick got healthy, before Kane got healthy, they were a team to me that seemed to react. Now they got some guys that are more comfortable playing in that type of a role, that style of hockey, and it comes more natural, and they're going to go out and initiate it. But, hey, the more that these guys are emotionally and physically engaged early, especially early, you don't want to give up, the same, have the same start that they had, in the previous series. That's only going to help the Oilers. So the more physical it is, that's I think moving forward, each series is, as you get closer and you get a real taste of where you're at and how close you are, it's not going to get easier before, for sure not. So I think it's going to be I think the Oilers now are set, with the depth and the confidence and the way that they're playing as a whole.
Yeah.
Sets them up really well for this series.
Who do you like? Oilers, Vegas, and why?
I just think I go back to Paul Coffey's comments about, Connor McDavid and the fact that, how he's going to will his team to the Stanley Cup at some point, and that guy is, we've all watched that documentary of, Michael Jordan, and we've seen what type of competitor he was when he was playing. I think there's a lot of similarities with McDavid. That guy is just on another level of skill, motivation, and drive. And I think he drags multiple guys in the fight with him. And you can never, when you have that type of player, and Draisaitl's obviously very close, and you have the two best players, you're always going to be in that conversation. I just, a lot of it's going to depend on, how they it's a grind and it's hard enough. Don't make it any harder than it has to be. Right. So if they get down, or it takes them a while to kind of find their game and the desperation they need to play with, that concerns me, because every game, moving forward now, guys are obviously nicked up. Every game you play, it takes another chunk out of you. So, I like the Oilers, but I think it could change, so much can change game to game with, because it's going to be a physical series. Guys are going to get hurt. Guys are going to, be blocking shots. Guys are going to start, getting nicked up. So, you can't bet. I'm not going to bet against Connor McDavid because, of where he's at and what he's capable of doing, but it's going to be close.
And quickly, the weekend series in the NHL playoffs, Game 7s, two historic, really, Game 7s. Both teams, Dallas, Winnipeg, overcoming 2-goal deficits in the third period of a Game 7. That had only happened 3 other times in the history of the game, and then it happened on back-to-back days. The Colorado Avalanche, man, they're going to be, for the next decade, their fans are going to be annoyed at their management for letting Rantanen go. For all the talk was, $500,000 a year, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And you let him go for that. Now, when you traded him, you probably didn't think he was going to come back in your division. Now he's in your division, and he absolutely destroyed you single-handedly in the last 3 games of this series. Yeah. Right? You look what he did in Game 5, and then obviously what he did in Game 7, and a hat trick. That's the first ever hat trick in Game 7, I think it was. You look at just everything about that decision. And then Nathan McKinnon's comments afterwards, hey, they're without their best defense, but they're out their best forward. I don't know where we go from here. It's pretty odd. And because that to me is a player who's so mad because he knows it was his running mate. He knew how good Rantanen was, and they let him go.
Yeah, that was that's the amazing thing about the Stanley Cup playoffs is just the matchups and the stars. And it's easy to become a fan of any sport when you get into the playoffs, but the NHL has done, Gary Bettman's done a super job of creating, where every team that gets in there really does have a chance. And that series was excellent. You could see the raw emotion of Nathan McKinnon at the end of the game where, he's obviously, he's on the same level as I would say Connor McDavid as far as his competing.
He's right there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's right there. The guy, these guys are motivated, and on a different level of, will to win and wanting to win. And you could really, that real emotion coming out there just after the game was, it was real. That was frustration. But I mean, good for Dallas. Dallas has, Game 7, obviously it can go either way. I was watching the St. Louis Winnipeg game last night. It was, you're outside kind of puttering around. I had it in the garage there and I was watching it and it was hard to do anything else but just stay in that moment. Like I was kind of trying to putt around, but every time I watch it, you can just kind of feel, Winnipeg slowly, finding their game. You can find, you could see the goalie Hellebuyck just kind of slowly finding different, he was finding different ways to get his confidence and his mojo back. And it was, so that part of the game was really interesting to watch and just to see how it was starting, the momentum was starting to shift. It's the highs and lows of the emotion of Game 7 is just something that a lot of people will never ever get a chance to feel or understand what it's like and everything that kind of goes into it. But it's the hockey's in a great place.
Quick break. When we return, we'll go out to Vegas. So the Golden Knights and the Oilers will meet for the second time in 3 seasons. Both these teams have had a lot of changes to their line. Jonathan Marchessault was huge in 2023. He's no longer there. The Oilers, they got 6 forwards, few defensemen who are here, but lots of guys have changed. The makeup of the teams, the core is still there, but how will this be different? Obviously, Vegas hoping it isn't any different. They won in 6. They want to win again. Boehlke will join us and break down the Oilers and Vegas from a Vegas perspective next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The month of May brings machines, mud, and for us, many an opportunity. We're GS Construction, and we love the warmer weather because it means we can get to work. But to keep things moving, we need the right people on our team. You built your skills. You know your work matters. Now's the time to bring that experience to a crew that gets it. We're hiring experienced top men and pipe layers. So if you're ready to dig in and be part of a team that has your back, apply now at gsconstruction.ca for this great opportunity.
Hold on to your hockey helmet, Edmonton. On the Rocks is serving up 60-cent wings that fly off the plate faster than a slap shot. And Molson Canadians for $5.25. OTR's TVs, hey, they're so clear you'll see the puck better than the ref. That ain't hard, is it? And every game night during Edmonton's playoff run, specials start 30 minutes before puck drop and last for the whole game. Be a part of the legend. See the menu at ontherocksyeg.com.
Mr. Rooter hits the gym.
As a new Mr. Rooter plumber, you get access to our company gym.
Nice. Where's the equipment?
Over here, we have a variety of tight pickle jars. Open those up to work out your pipe wrenching muscles. We've got your standard weighted plungers and over here, a pipe wrench.
Why is that guy forcing his body into a suitcase?
He's getting limber. A good plumber must be able to fit under any sink.
For a plumber who always works out, call Mr. Rooter.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Legend has foretold of a smoothie so delicious and refreshing that it could quench the thirst of a fire-breathing dragon.
But it's also a great pick-me-up after a workout. The new Dragon Slaya smoothie from Booster Juice, a legendary blend of dragon fruit and mangoes, destined to be your next obsession. Try it today along with the new Dragon Booster Ball and the Pink Dragon Booster Mixer.
3 epic menu items to conquer your cravings. Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
April showers brought huge deals to Wolf GMC Buick. It's truck month all of May, and we froze our prices on in-stock inventory to save you money. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on some of our most popular Sierra pickups, or select up to $8,000 off on these amazing trucks. If you're in need of an SUV, good news, we have a great selection of Buicks and GMCs. Plus, Costco members may be eligible for an additional $1,200 discount. What are you waiting for? Spring into Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Grant Fedoruk here from Leading Edge Physiotherapy. Now, some people live with problems they don't have to because they might not know that we're here, the things we can do, and the issues we can help. Problems less talked about, like incontinence, vertigo, Bell's palsy, and lymphedema, or even things people live with every day, like shoulder, neck, and low back pain. So while a lot of people already know we have the people, tools, and technology to help you head to toe, I'm going to keep at this, because if just one more person gets the care they need, then every penny we spend sharing what and who we can treat is worth it. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
It's that time again, Edmonton.
Dig the Schwab in.
Schwab Chev Buick GMC knows that it's playoff season.
Right, Schwabbing now.
But even with some late nights ahead, their boss still has the Schwab team fighting Schwabbing hard to get you into the perfect ride.
That price isn't Schwabbing good enough.
Come score a great deal on your next vehicle with up to $12,000 off 2025 diesel trucks at Schwab Chevrolet Buick GMC in Leduc. Dig the Schwab in.
Blue Jays baseball is back on Sports 1440. This Saturday and Sunday, listen live to the broadcast of Canada's favorite team. Proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball. We are Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through Monday afternoon. Of course, round 2 of the NHL playoffs begins tonight. One game, Florida on the road in Toronto. That'll start around 6:15 Edmonton time. And then tomorrow you got Carolina and Washington, followed by Edmonton and Vegas. And hey, Oiler fans, look at this. It's 7:30, which means 7:50 puck drop, but still, it's half an hour earlier. And that half hour makes a big difference for some people, you know, especially for if you got young kids and they can watch a period. Maybe you can squeeze out 2, depending on it. For you can watch the whole game and not feel like you're going to bed 11 o'clock. Hey, age catch up with all of us. So I get a little bit earlier start is great. So you got 7:30 start, broadcast start tomorrow and Thursday, 7:50 puck drops, and then 7 o'clock broadcast start on Saturday for game 3. Should be fun for the second time in 3 years. It's the Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights as we're going to go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And coming up this Thursday, it's McHappy Day at McDonald's, where proceeds of everything, a portion of everything you buy, goes to help out Ronald McDonald House. And what a fantastic facility in our city for you to help out for families who have sick kids. This is a lifesaver, really, for lots of them to just be closer to their children in the hospital if you got an extended family. So it's fantastic. So get a milkshake or a Big Mac or a Big Arch, whatever you do on Thursday, and know that you'll be helping out Ronald McDonald House. As Ken Boehlke from Sin Bin Vegas joins us. And Ken, the Vegas Golden Knights, they started slow, at least their top line did in that series, but Eichel and Stone, they woke up later. They ended up, making a big impact, especially in game 6. What was the difference? What was the first line not doing early, and then they found their game in the last 2 games of the series?
Yeah, it was a bit of a stroke of genius there from Bruce Cassidy, as he has been able to do at different times over the course of his Golden Knights career. He put all 3 of them together, Karlsson, Eichel, and Stone, and they pretty much took off from there. I don't know that it was necessarily anything not going all that well the first couple of games. Like, Eichel had a breakaway, Stone. Game 3, the Golden Knights, or Game 2, the Golden Knights were a bit of a mess, so that one you kind of throw out. But it really just, once they put the 3 together and they were drawing the role of playing against Minnesota's top line, we really saw them come along.
Well, yeah, because early on, the Minnesota top line was, they were the difference makers, and then it kind of rolled. And obviously, Karlsson's an exceptional defensive player, can still produce offensively, and that works. So are we expecting, it looks like the orders are going to have McDavid and Draisaitl start the series together, kind of captain obvious here, but the Eichel line with Karlsson and Stone on home ice, they're going to get the majority of those minutes?
I would think so. I think it's going to depend. Knoblock said it today. He says he thinks they're going to have to make the decision, and then the Golden Knights will have to counter. I think that's probably right. I think depending on what they do with McDavid and Draisaitl, that's what the Golden Knights are going to have to do coming back. It's the road games that are going to be more interesting to me. Vegas will have the decision there, and I think it'll be a little trickier up there.
What about the defense pairings? Which pairing? Because, I thought a few games, there was one game, and Shea Theodore, I don't know if I've ever seen him struggle like that. It was very odd. He's an elite player. Yeah. What did you make of their defense and kind of, individually and as a group in that first round series?
Yeah, they kind of mixed it up a little bit, which was a bit surprising. That you saw a little bit of Haig with Pietrangelo, you saw some Hannafin with Pietrangelo, and then White Cloud would take the other one. A lot of McNabb and Theodore. I think they're going to really not focus on any things in particular. I think they try White Cloud out there against McDavid and Draisaitl at the same time. But I don't think they necessarily have this is the group that we really want out there. I think they're more trying to match with forwards and wondering which center is going to be out there as opposed to dealing with it.
Ken, what I know that Vegas's PK played a big part in beating Minnesota. What did you see in their penalty killing that gave them the success that they had?
I would say just their vice pressure is really good. Their sticks are really good, and their clearances were very good in that series, where anytime they had an opportunity to get it out, they were getting it out. Usually their entry defense is a little bit better than it was against Minnesota. I thought that was a little bit of a down spot, but overall, their penalty killing did a pretty good job. And then Hill's been back there. If you don't allow crazy seam passes, he's going to stop most of the ones he sees.
You look at the overall play, because early on Kaprizov and Boldy, it's kind of like the series were fairly similar. Edmonton was obviously awful in their first 2 games against LA, and while Vegas wasn't awful, I don't think they were playing up to their capabilities. And then they found their game, they took over, similar to Edmonton in their series against LA. Now, we know how Vegas plays from an Edmonton perspective. They're very different than LA. They don't play man-to-man in the defensive zone. They'll forecheck hard. They're the best team off the rush in the NHL, at least when it comes to goals off the rush. How do you see, what's the biggest difference, Edmonton and the challenge in how they play compared to Minnesota, that we're going to see Vegas maybe alter their game?
Actually having a legitimate attack outside of one line. Basically for Minnesota, it was their one line was going to be dangerous, and if you turn the puck over to them, they can make things happen. Anytime Kaprizov was out there, something dangerous could happen. The rest of their lineup was basically just, are you going to turn the puck over on a forecheck? If there wasn't a clear turnover on a forecheck, Minnesota got nothing. And I just don't think that's the case against Edmonton. I think they're going to generate off the rush, in the zone, in front of the goal. They got a lot of tip chances right in front of the goal against LA. There's going to be a lot more to deal with up and down this lineup. And then the other piece is the defensemen, Faber, Spurgeon, Brodin. They offered very, very little offensively. I think Spurgeon had one wraparound goal. That was it. I think you're going to see a lot more offense coming from Bouchard, Wallman, Nurse, even Klingberg's been doing it a little bit. I think that's going to be there's just going to be waves of attack that are much, much more difficult to deal with than just the top line that was crushing the goal at the beginning. But then they eventually figured it out, and Minnesota couldn't score anymore.
Ken, do you see this being a physical series? I mean, it seems like the Oilers have Kane, Frederick, Podkolzin, and some guys that are now healthy, getting back in the lineup that are comfortable playing that way. Do you see this being a physical series at all?
Yeah, it's weird because you look at the numbers and they're like two of the least hitting teams in the entire league. And like you said, there were definitely some injuries that got in the way there. The Golden Knights really don't hit that much. I do think, though, the fact that Vegas is not going to have the puck as often in this series as they did in the last series, they're going to have to be a little bit more physical. They picked up their physicality as that series went along and started hitting a lot more. But I don't know. Like, these two teams hate each other, so I know we're going to get some of that. It wouldn't shock me if we get some of the dirty stuff here or there, but I don't think this is a series where you're going to get 70 hits apiece. Like, these teams just don't really play like that.
Yeah, no, well, Edmonton has lately, like they Zach Hyman had 22 hits in 2 games against LA. So the Oilers can do it. You're right. I don't think they do it, but I will say, like, there wasn't hardly any animosity in the Edmonton LA series. Now, I didn't watch all of the Vegas series, of course, but because Vegas has guys if you want to play that way, but not like Keegan Kolazar obviously will get in your face and a few guys, but they're not, but they are grittier, right? Like LA didn't have a lot of it. Do you think Vegas is better because did Minnesota try to play that way and Vegas was just like, nah, we're not going to worry about it? Or was there times when there was heightened animosity in that series?
They did a little. I mean, Ryan Hartman's going to be Ryan Hartman. Foligno's, they called him the moose in the China shop, which I found very cute. He'll run through guys and do his own thing. Yakov Trenin is the guy that ruptured Mark Stone's spleen, so he's out there doing his thing. But there was really no animosity in the series. There was no trade. There were no two-hand chops across guys' hands like we saw years ago. Guys getting suspended, that type of thing. Like, the Golden Knights and the Oilers hate each other, and there's no way around it. Their best players hate each other. The guys down the lineup hate each other. There's plenty of animosity there. I think we're going to get a lot more of the after whistle stuff. I think we're going to get a lot more of the dirty stuff. Like, this one's going to have some, but that's different than just hitting to forecheck or hitting to separate the player from the puck. I don't think either team necessarily has to play that game, but I do think you're going to walk out of this series and say, man, these teams do not enjoy playing against each other at all.
How did Adin Hill play? Like, because numbers don't always tell the story, right? Like, his goals saved above expected was below, if you believe in that stat, a whole bunch or not. But how would you evaluate Hill's play start to finish in the series?
I thought at the beginning he was all right, and then it kind of was just fine basically the rest of the way through. I think if you really dig into like what goals he allowed, there were a couple of breakaways that maybe you want a little bit of a better effort on that one. There's one in particular that Kaprizov slipped one underneath him that you probably want to stop there. Zuccarello had one that I thought he should have gloved. But again, these are like 2-on-1 breaks or 1-on-0 breaks that it's hard to blame the goalie. For me, like, Vegas didn't give up a ton of chances. So the goals against expected thing or the goals above expected thing is going to be tricky. When you only give up 2 expected goals in a game and then you allow 3, you look like you were terrible. We're really like, that's only based on low amount of chances coming at you. I thought he was just fine. I don't think he was great. I don't think he was bad. I don't think he's one of the 3 worst goalies in the playoffs like some of those numbers indicate. But, he was certainly not as good as he was when he was in that Edmonton series or even more so in the Dallas and Florida series the year they won the Cup. Like, he hasn't been at that level.
Ken, who are you picking in the series?
I got Vegas in 7. I just think over the course of the entire series, they'll find ways. Like, they have the ability to score off the rush. They have the ability to make you turn the puck over, make you make bad decisions. And then, I don't know, there's just something about this team. They find ways to win. They don't play well for the entire game sometimes, and they find ways to win. They've been doing it all year. They did it against Edmonton in the playoffs 2 years ago. They were behind all sorts of different times in that series. And it's, I think they just find a way. I don't think this Golden Knights team is as good as that one, though. So it wouldn't stun me if Edmonton wins this, and it wouldn't stun me even if Edmonton wins it fairly quickly. Like, I think there's a chance they're the better team this time, where that was not the case last time. But I can't pick against this Golden Knights team. They just find a way.
Ken, there's always there's the obvious superstars that have an impact on the series, but there's always someone that kind of comes out of nowhere. Is there anyone in that lineup that maybe based off the Minnesota series that you see being maybe a little bit of a secret weapon?
I think Brandon Saad was pretty close to scoring a few goals. I don't know that I would necessarily expect him to be a secret weapon. I just feel like there's going to be some chances down the lineup, and he could be potentially one that gets out on the rush. I would say the guy that Oilers fans should actually really look out for this series is Brett Howden. He's having a great season, and like, maybe the goal scoring numbers are a bit of a mirage. Maybe he's not a 25 goal scorer and 3 goals in a playoff series type player, but this guy does everything you can possibly ask for. He's physical, he's fast, he gets to the front of the goal. He's really solid defensively, does not make a lot of mistakes. Like, I think people can really respect the game that Brett Howden's going to bring, that you may not recognize that just looking at the names on the paper, where a guy like a Saad or a Smith, somebody like that, maybe you've recognized him in those names in the past. Howden's the one, like, really watch how he plays, and I think you'll appreciate the style of player he is.
Pavel Dorofeyev, what's the update on him? Is he going to play tomorrow?
He's not going to play tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, that would be a complete shock. They have not officially ruled him out, but he was practicing the last series. He did not practice in the morning skate of Game 6, so they've been calling him day-to-day, which the Golden Knights have been using day-to-day for anything this year. They've had a couple guys that have been day-to-day that have been out for 60 days, and then they've had other guys that are day-to-day that come back in 3. I would be surprised if he plays in the first half of the series. I would even say it would be a bit surprising if he plays at all. I think it's a lower body skating-related injury, muscle-related injury, so it's not something that I think just will heal overnight. Even if he does play, I don't know that he's going to be quite himself after what happened. So I don't think he's going to make much of an impact at all on the series.
Awesome, Ken. Really appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for that.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
There you go. That's Ken Boehlke joining us from in Vegas. And that, you know what, that is, people might overlook it, but Dorofeyev, that's a pretty big loss. That's their second line right winger. And so Keegan Kolazar moved up there, and, good player, but he doesn't have near the finish ability, not only on 5-on-5, but Dorofeyev, like, he was very impactful for him on the power play. So it's probably not talked about, maybe because he's not Stone, he's not Eichel, he's not Thomas Hertl, and people are like, oh, wow, geez, you know what? You can overcome it, but he's been pretty good for Vegas all year long. So quietly, I think that could be a pretty big blow for them. So we'll have to see kind of what he does, because in the regular season, the guy had 35 goals, man. Right? He had 13 power play goals. Like, that is. Don't overlook that as a huge injury for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's that type of year where guys are going to go down, and the depth of your organization, and guys are going to have to step up. I mean, no different than what we've seen with the Oilers here, or as far as Kane. No one really knew what to expect from Kane. He's been outstanding. As far as his physicality and getting involved in many different ways. Frederick, Henry Brown to me looks really good. I can't believe what a difference in his skating. And just, having, as a coach, Knoblock must just, having the ability to have all these pieces and these guys playing with confidence, just, must feel good for a coach, right? To be able to have those options and to know, if you got to throw the lines in a blender, you're going to have guys that, are feeling good about their game and quite possibly are going to respond to it.
243, Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. We'll come back and we'll keep talking playoffs, baby, because what else is there to talk about? We'll get to that. We also do have NHL draft talk later on. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
If you bleed orange and blue and you're not using the all-new Play Alberta Sports and Casino app, then you're missing out. It's the only online sportsbook with odds boosts on all Oilers games. And now, it's not just sports. Play the slots, hit the tables, buy lottery tickets, all in one app, all across Alberta. Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and use promo code GOAL for a $100 bonus. That's promo code GOAL!
I won't shave till we bring home the cup. And I like to do a shot for every playoff goal. My jersey's not coming off until we're the city of champs again.
Want a playoff superstition that always wins? Pick up a bag of Wilhauk beef jerky for every game. Because when it comes to the playoffs, where there's a Wilhauk, there's a way.
Make every playoff game a Will Hockey game day with Wilhauk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't bring home the cup with salad.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Experience Edmonton Stingers Pro Basketball. Join the Stingers at their home opener Sunday, May 11th at 4 p.m. It's the most affordable, family-friendly, fun sports experience in the city. Tickets start at just $20. thestingers.ca.
Noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 noodle.
Throw a load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at Cantork.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Buddy, that song, it stands a test of time, baby. Ooh, love that tune. Always get you fired up. I love it. Easy to sing along to, too. For an average sing-alonger like myself, pretty easy to keep up with. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown with you, Sports 1440. Sports1440.ca is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor100 on your next deposit, or if you sign up, that's Gregor100. You get a free $100 at PlayAlberta.ca. As it's time to go to our NBA report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They are hiring, looking for HVAC installers and experienced plumbers. So if you want a competitive wage for a great company, RRSP matching, tuition reimbursement, also hiring bonus for the right person. Check it out at legacyheating.ca. To talk a little hoops, Matt Devlin, of course, the voice of the Raptors, and watching the NBA playoffs as well. Matty, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Good. How you guys been?
Hey, I'm great. And, you watch all these teams all year long. I want to start, and I know it's only one game, but, man, that was a pretty impressive game one performance by the Pacers over Cleveland. What do you make of the game? And what do you think of the odds are the Pacers can win that series?
Well, the Pacers were the only team during the regular season to beat the Cavaliers 3 times. They were 3-1 during the regular season. So I don't think that it was something that was totally out of the norm. It's going to be a situation for the Cleveland Cavaliers now with Mobley with a ankle injury. He's questionable for tomorrow. DeAndre Hunter with a thumb injury. He's questionable for tomorrow, game 2. I think this is a long series. I mean, they're both great offensive teams. Defensively, the Cleveland Cavaliers, granted it was against Miami, but they were extremely locked in at that time. They're going to have to figure out their coverage with Halliburton. When you allow him to roam a little bit freely, Do you try to force him to get the ball out of his hands? A lot of teams try to make him more of a shooter than a passer. His assist numbers are off the charts. And when he combines both, this is a Pacer team that's tough. They have former Raptor Pascal Siakam. They have a lot of different options, inclusive of Andrew Nembhard. And one of the reasons why the Pacers early on in the season, and Andrew's from the GTA here, that they struggled was because they had a lot of injuries, and they were 10-15. They went to the conference finals a season ago, and everybody kind of looked around and said, okay, that team wasn't for real. But since January 1st, they have a top 5 record in the NBA. So Indiana is tough to deal with and manage. Cleveland, it has been their depth that has gotten them through. And so this is a team that, as you know, had the best record in the Eastern Conference. The question is, can they figure out Indiana? It's been the one team.
Matt, Anthony Edwards has knocked off KD, Djokovic last year, LeBron, and Luka this year. Does he add Steph Curry to the growing list of legends?
I think so. I think Minnesota is really tough. And I understand where they are as far as the seeding is concerned. Minnesota, that is, they really had to come on strong at the end of the regular season. But he's next level. And he just loves to hoop. Yeah. And that's a tough, 7-round series, Houston and Golden State. And we're seeing now, this is when you look around the league, Golden State's the oldest team left. And do they have enough? Do they have what it takes with a Butler? We know how good Jimmy playoffs, what he can do in the postseason, and Steph Curry, you certainly know, and Draymond Green, but they're all in their mid-30s. And one of the things that we have seen this year in the NBA, with the pace of play, teams like Oklahoma City, are younger and more athletic. And, and the physicality, as both of you have seen, is ramped up in the NBA. So that one to me is going to be very interesting to watch. But I think Minnesota is just too much for Golden State.
Matt Devlin joins us now. Matt, you mentioned the physicality ramping up, and essentially the NBA decided, hey, we were being way too ticky-tack on calls, and there was really no contact allowed, and it's come back. And when you talk to people around it, like, is everybody enjoying this? Is this okay? This is a little bit more basketball. And I found the games a little bit more entertaining in the sense that, okay, you are allowed some contact. I found there's just the minute like you blew on a guy and he was getting fouled. And now it's like, no, sometimes you got to fight through things that aren't egregious fouls. They're just contact.
Yeah, I think that you go back over the last 18 months, the league has allowed for more contact above the foul line.
Yeah.
And that has changed things, and we've seen it ramp up throughout the course of the season. And then here in the postseason, and the big point of emphasis for the NBA was freedom of movement, right? They wanted players, obviously, to show off what they could do offensively. And now you're getting back to, I think, what a lot of people grew up watching with respect to the physicality of the game. But it's a combination of the speed. I mean, during the regular season, teams are picking up full court. So you have the intensity of that. And this idea that, there isn't any defense. No, defense is being played. It is hard based upon freedom of movement. In that theory, it's hard to keep people in front. And so now you're starting to see way more physicality out on the perimeter, which is where a lot of the action in the NBA, as we know, starts, right? Because you want to get into the paint and then distribute and then swing and get that defense rotating, and you get that ball typically in the second, the hockey assist, second, third pass to get to the weak side. But look at Detroit and New York. I just recently did Indiana and Milwaukee. I also had Cleveland and Miami as well. I was broadcasting, and the physicality was there for sure. And I think fans are enjoying that.
Oh gosh, I would hope so. Anyway, I think it adds a lot to the game myself. So I think it's wonderful. Looking at some of the other matchups that we have here, and we talked about the big win for the Nuggets over the Clippers and OKC, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You got the two guys who everybody thought would be the MVP. They're going head to head, and I think Gilgeous-Alexander is going to win it. OKC's, as much as they are great offensively, is it the relentless defense that's ultimately going to win in the series?
Well, look, this is going to be an extremely difficult test because Denver, of course, is just coming off of a Game 7 against the LA Clippers where they blew out the Clippers. And this game is tonight. You get one game. It's on the road. It's against Oklahoma City. We know the season that they put together. They had a remarkable season. But Denver has a way of making you play the way that they want to play, and obviously that's Jokic. But he's going to need the support of a Jamal Murray. He's going to need the support of an Aaron Gordon, for sure, who has been big in playoff moments. Without question, as well. They'll also need Michael Porter Jr. And this is going to be interesting for OKC because this is an organization. They haven't been to the NBA Finals since 2012. And at that time, they had Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Serge Ibaka. And that summer, they ended up trading James Harden to Houston because they didn't want to pay him. And so this is kind of, they're back and they have Shea. And he's extremely difficult to manage. How they decide to cover him is going to be interesting. With the ball pressure, it's so hard with him because of his ability to stop and start, his ability to create his own, his length, and then, also the ability to get downhill. And do they decide to do some drop coverage? Maybe keeping somebody at the rim. It's just going to be fascinating to see here in Game 1 what ultimately Denver tries to do defensively. And then for the Thunder, look, they've been sitting on the sidelines waiting now for a while. That can be a good thing or a bad thing. They got rid of Memphis in a hurry without Ja Morant. And so it's the old rest versus rust. And so does Denver carry the emotions of that series first round matchup against the Clippers do they have that intensity early? Or is it going to be OKC with, we've had a week of rest and we'll be good. That one's going to be fascinating as well.
Matt, if I can bring it back to Anthony Edwards again, what do you feel like he has to accomplish to be a candidate for the face of the league? Do you think he has that skill set and ability?
Well, I think ultimately to talk about that, it's championships, right? Everybody loves watching them play. Everybody loves watching Shea play. Everybody loves watching the Joker play. There's so many different players out there right now. Look at Jalen Brunson in New York, and you have New York and Boston here in the second round, and Cade Cunningham for Detroit. There's so many great young players in the NBA. Scotty Barnes with the Toronto Raptors. That how you end up getting viewed. I remember Hubie Brown telling me, the Hall of Famer years ago, reputations are made or broken in the playoffs. And think about James Harden, right? It's a Hall of Fame career, but he has come up short. And you think about Russell Westbrook, who at the tail end of his career has accepted a secondary role with Denver, and what he is accomplishing and what will happen for him and his legacy if he's able to ultimately come away with the title. But for Anthony Edwards, everybody knows how difficult it is to guard him, how great he is, especially at his age. But all that's going to be decided, by championships. And yeah, you can get the press, you can get, all the ads, you can get all the sponsors, you can have all of that sort of stuff. But, ultimately players know, And when they look around, they'll say, okay, hey, that player accomplished this at that stage of his career, and that ultimately led to him reaching that kind of, iconic place in the game where everybody thinks, oh, you're the face of the league.
One last one. Right now, of the 8 remaining teams, who do you like best to win the championship and why?
That's a hard one, because I think we all know throughout the course of the regular season that there's just an immense amount of parity in the NBA. And so I know that Cleveland, led, the East, and I know that Oklahoma City, 14 games in front of, Houston. But when you get down to it into a series, that's extremely difficult. I couldn't pick of those 8. I could give you a reason as to why, certain teams will advance to the conference finals. I think that, Cleveland is good enough to get to the conference finals. I think Boston certainly with their roster. But that's going to be interesting to see, what happens with New York in that series. Brunson has been so good. I think we could all, look around and make a case for OKC, Denver, as well as Minnesota getting to the conference finals. So to me, those right now are those 5 teams. And I say that, and then you look around and you go, okay, well, Indiana got there last year. You can maybe add them to the mix to get to a conference finals. I think of the teams that I don't think will get there, I think it would be New York. But, maybe they proved me wrong.
Matty, always good to catch up with you, buddy. Enjoy calling the games. We'll talk to you again soon.
You got it. All the best.
That's Matt Devlin, longtime voice of the Raptors, of course, calling games across the NBA. And I'm telling you, man, I know many of you are focused on the NHL, but there's been some stellar games in the association. I love playoffs. I know, Brownie, you're like, how do you watch it? Well, I'll record certain games and then kind of go through it later, when I have time. And my wife was gone this weekend, so I had some.
There's the truth.
Had some more alone time. Well, but I don't, we'll watch stuff. But I do but she actually likes basketball, so she'll watch the NBA playoffs with me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what? The playoffs actually sucks in my wife as well. Any type of playoff, right? So it is good. I mean, the one thing that I like for myself is having a TV outside, right? I like having it in the garage where I can kind of putter around and have it in the background. But yeah, I mean, and the fact that the physicality in basketball, because that is one sport that, I didn't realize how physical it is and how big those guys are. And when they're driving the paint, that is just as dangerous as any other sport out there.
Yeah. Oh God, no. And I love the fact that it's more physical again. And it's not like over the top. It's just, I felt like they had gone too far to just call everything. And it was a little bit too much. 302, let's get to the call, man. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Weather rates never change. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Round 2 action. Stanley Cup playoffs gets going tonight out in Toronto as the Leafs host the Panthers just after 6 o'clock. Off the ice, the Los Angeles Kings and GM Rob Blake mutually parting ways today, confirmed by Luke Robitaille. Blake had been the team front office since 2013 and had been promoted to GM and vice president in 2017. Nashville Predators GM Barry Trotz told reporters today that the team will stick with head coach Andrew Brunette for next season. After a big offseason, the Preds finished third last in the NHL with 68 points. And Minnesota Wild goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury will play for Canada at the IIHF Men's Hockey Championship. It'll be the first time Fleury's represented Canada at the Worlds, joining teammate Sidney Crosby. That begins later this month in Denmark and Sweden. In the association, we got round 2 action. Game 1, the Celtics hosting the Knicks at 5. Then just after 7:30, Thunder taking on the Nuggets. And in the majors, Dodgers meet the Marlins. The Yankees host the Padres. White Sox in KC. Cards taking on the Pirates, and the Mariners head to Sacramento to take on the Athletics. The Baltimore Ravens have released kicker Justin Tucker. Tucker had been accused of inappropriate behavior by 16 massage therapists from 8 different Baltimore spas and wellness centers. After drafting kicker Tyler Loop, the organization insists it is a football decision. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear from head coach Chris Knoblock. We'll also talk prospects with Shane Malloy from Hockey Prospect Radio, and Cam Tate will join us for another edition of the 2-Minute Warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties, including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League's Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
It's playoff time, and we've got a lot to talk about. This is Andrew Walker on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. Tune in after every playoff game for the Ridge Social Eatery postgame show. The Ridge is the new hotspot in St. Albert, and it's so
Monday
good.
afternoon. How are you?
Motorsports? No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong.
Guess it's time to get it right. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is
Monday afternoon.
Hold on to your hockey helmet. Edmonton on the Rocks is serving up 60-cent wings that fly off the plate faster than
it stands a test of time, baby.
Canadian for $5.25. OTR's TVs, hey, they're so clear you'll see the puck better than the ref. That ain't hard, is it? And every game night during Edmonton's playoff run, specials start 30 minutes before puck drop and last for the whole game. Be a part of the legend. See the menu at ontherocks.yeg.com.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
A pizza from Papa John's is already pretty great, but you know what's even better? 2 pizzas from Papa John's. For a limited time, get a medium 1-topping pizza for only $6 when you order any large specialty pizza at regular price. The works, the meats. Pick your favorite specialty pizza and get even more delicious Papa John's to enjoy. Whether you're feeding your family, your team, or yourself, get your next meal from your locally owned and operated Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Portions of this hour are brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Sean Brown, of course, also with us this afternoon. We got lots more of the NHL draft. I know Oilers fans like, what's the draft? After spending so many years being heavily invested in it for months, at a time. It's kind of like, meh, you know what? Orders, and it's true. I get it. But I will say this. Most of you know where you were on the draft lottery of 2015. Now, there is no Connor McDavid in this year's draft class, but there could be a Leon Draisaitl. You'll never know, because we got to remember, in Leon Draisaitl's draft class, first of all, it wasn't the first pick. No one was talking about him becoming a Hart Trophy winner, an Art Ross Trophy winner, one of the top 5 players in the league. You don't know, right? They thought he'd be a good player. So who knows? So we'll talk about the draft and how this year, tonight, it'll be live. So the ball come out, they're going to know who wins. It's not going to be the cards that get flipped over and they do it. And, Bill Scott sitting in the background, having to be quiet and not be excited for a half an hour. I talked to Bill about that. He's like, oh yeah, it was pretty, you cut the tension in the room, right? Like you can't even cheer when they did the lottery and the Oilers win, congratulations. Yeah. Like there's, and you don't want it, you try to be professional, but it's just like, he couldn't tell anybody. Pretty funny. So there will be that coming up. Shane Malloy this hour will join us. There's lots of good players. And you know what? Hey, you got to make some good picks in the second and third rounds. I'm going to talk to Shane about that as well, because the Edmonton Oilers obviously are, it's going to be a while for them to be picking in the first round here anytime soon. They don't have a boatload of picks. Heck, they don't even have a second rounder this year. They have a third, a sixth, and a seventh. So but you know what? Where they're shopping right now is in the European free agent aisle and U.S. college free agent aisle. But it's true. That's how they're going to replenish. It's not ideal. Eventually, you know what? You're going to have to get some. They don't have a first rounder next year. And I could see him probably training the second rounder again next year at the deadline. We'll see. At some point, maybe, you get a good team. You want to be able to move some of your good players to at least get a draft pick at some point, right? Where you want to maybe say, hey, you know what? Other teams are going to want this guy. Maybe we can get a decent pick or something in return. Like maybe that'll happen at some point. But drafts and the orders, you're going to be hopeful that you find a diamond in the rough and later. Like when you only have 3 picks, Brownie, like I could see them trying to move their third pick back just to get 2 picks to increase your odds.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because they've, depleted themselves pretty good. But, I think this is where your amateur pro guys, as you said, college guys, European guys, the fact that, players develop at different times. And I think, there's, the fact for any player out there that, has the passion and continuing and wanting to work and put in the time, there's a chance and, there's opportunities for different guys like that at different stages of their careers. And I don't know the stats or the numbers on, but there are guys that later on that, eventually find their game, need a little bit of time for whatever reason. And, that's what you're paying these scouts to do, is to try and, pound the pavement, find trends. And that's kind of, there's so much of the scouting and the way they go about doing. I know I've talked to different guys in different leagues in the scouting department and the analytics and how they go about, trying to increase their odds of finding, guys in the later rounds.
Yep.
It's actually quite interesting. It's this, there's no science to it, but, there are those players later on that, get overlooked through, because of situations that maybe as a coaching or different line mates that for whatever reason later on find their game.
Yeah. No, it's true. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. You can text us in our email inbox. It is, as always, the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Go to GameSenseAB.ca. Got a lot of these texts coming in. Hey, guys, I've noticed that Vegas got away with a lot in the Vegas series. I've never heard so many crowds in so many games chanting the refs suck this year. What do you think that'll become a factor? Steve from Drumheller. Well, here's 2 things. I love the fact that fans, in the playoffs, you are ultra emotionally focused on your team and noticeably biased, as you should be. So I want to preface that by saying that's how it should be. The fans are booing calls that they think should be a penalty, and some of them just definitely aren't a penalty. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't. You know what? I want to be loud. Get the energy in. It gets people fired up. But you got to remember, the Vegas Golden Knights, the least penalized team ever in NHL history this year. And they also had the second fewest power plays. They don't take a lot of penalties. They don't get a lot of power plays. That's just how it is. Now, Now, are you going to say, do they get away with some? Oh, I'm sure they probably get away with some. Now, I don't think over the course of the year you would continually get away with that many, right? It would just seem odd that it's like, oh, here's a team that's going to get away with just that many more, right? So if you look at Vegas and in their series, power play opportunities, guess what? The Minnesota Wild had the fewest power play chances, 13 in 6 games, tied with the Edmonton Oilers. Now, last series when the Oilers had that much more puck possession stuff against LA, I can think of 2 penalties for sure that I thought were blatant misses. Now, Edmonton, when you shoot puck over the glass and get a delay game on a review afterwards, whatever. But, LA did get quite a few penalties. They had, I think 7 more than the Oilers, which was a little bit odd. Now, Vegas, they had 18-13. So that's still, you know what? Now, I'd have to watch every game. I don't want every series to be even. That's the thing. You can't say, I want the refs to call penalties, but only if it's even closely. That's not how it works. If you want them to call, if one team ends up getting 10 more power plays than the other team, so what? If it's fairly reasonably called, I don't have an issue with that. But I don't think you should expect a lot of power plays in this series. I'd be surprised. And that's just how it's going to be, right? Like I think there'll probably be ones that you think should be called, but prepare yourself. There's probably not going to be a ton of power plays.
But I think that the Oilers trying to defend Draisaitl and McDavid, right, is a challenge. No matter how good you are, right? Those guys have the ability, to actually draw penalties, right? If they're handling the puck and doing what they're capable of doing, just defending them alone is not enough. You need to be on the line of, I don't want to say cheating, but on the line of desperation.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, bro.
Exactly. So those guys have that ability, to kind of attack. Doesn't matter the best defenseman's weaknesses. So a lot of and that's why probably a lot of this series will be like every other series, come down to specialty teams, right? Can McDavid and Draisaitl do what they do? Because just defending them within the rules it's too hard, because if you do that, they're so good at creating time and space that they're going to make those plays, and you have to find ways and areas to cheat to defend against them.
Yeah, I think at times McDavid's elite edge work hurts him in the sense of calling penalties, where other guys would go down or they would noticeably slow up. He doesn't, and the ref's like, well, it's clearly not that big of an infraction. I do think at times that's there. And now the thing was, you know what? Veteran teams get more calls. Well, the Oilers are the most veteran team in the league. So you can't say for years that only the veteran teams get calls, and now that the Oilers are a veteran team. I never believed that, right? Maybe these small one here or there, but I never really believed that veteran teams clearly always got. The teams when they had younger teams, those are the ones who say it. That's not the truth, because the Oilers are a veteran team. What are they, the oldest team in the league? So no one's more veteran. They just got 7 fewer power plays in LA. So no one can say with certainty that the veteran team always gets the calls.
This is where you're going to have that experienced veteran ref, right? Because I agree with you. I mean, you look at not just McDavid or Draisaitl, but, every player today, is so strong on their skates, and, they're not going down. And that's where you're going to need that ref, that experience of, and then the consistency in which they call is probably going to be the most important thing. But I mean, those guys are trying, they don't want to be a factor in the game at all either.
Yeah, but I always say they don't want to be a factor. But if you don't call blatant penalties, then you're a factor.
True.
Right?
It's hard sweet spot.
Now, a ref's going to miss a call, just like a player's going to miss a pass. He's going to miss a read. It's going to happen. You just can't be blatantly obvious. When the Oilers gift goals are blatantly obvious, the blatant obvious penalty should be called. If you want a gray area one that doesn't get called, I'll live with that, because the ref's positioning on the ice, what he saw might be different than what you saw on the camera replay. I totally understand. But there's some obvious penalties, and I'm like, that should never be missed. Right? Like the Brandt Clark cross-checking Evander Kane blatantly from behind into the net at full speed. That's a penalty all day, every day, 1,000 times a day. It should be a penalty, right?
Yeah.
It should be. And just like, was it game 1, Edmonton got away with an obvious penalty. Now the game, granted, now they were down 4 at the time, so you're probably thinking, oh, it doesn't matter. But remember, then they came back and tied the game. So you know what? It could have, to me, when it's a blatant one, and it should be called. I can't remember if it was on Nurse or maybe it was Janmark. It was one of the two guys. And early in the second period, there's a blatant penalty that didn't get called in favor of the Oilers. So it does happen the other way. I have no problem with that. I don't think reffing at the end of the day impacted the Oilers series. And usually, I don't think it does. It might impact the game, and then you might get the break later on. But I'll say this, if fans are going into the series, you're already biased that you're going to view an infraction that's 50-50. Well, it should automatically be a penalty. And that's okay, but that's how fans should be. Right? Like in the playoffs, you should have blind fanaticism. It's fun. It's the only time of year you can probably get away with it. So we'll see. Hey, Gregor, are you going to say Pietrangelo's chop was the same as trying to fight a willing combatant? Odd how they were viewed as the same amount of games from Vinny. Well, Vinny, here's the optics of it look terrible. I wholeheartedly agree. The rule as it states, because Darnell Nurse came from the blue line. Now, had Darnell Nurse, having talked to the NHL officials, had Darnell Nurse came down there, stopped, said, do you want to go, and waited till the guy's gloves came off first, it would have been totally different. Right? It would have been different. Because then it wouldn't be considered as much of an egregious initiating. That's how they told me. That if you come in there, yeah, you want to go, delayed. But if you fly in and your gloves are off before you even ask. So that's how they viewed it. I agree with you. Like, Pietrangelo only getting one game was kind of a joke. But, it is what it was. And the Oilers now, hey, that happened 2 years ago, and it still annoys me that the Oilers haven't got redemption. Like, I just pisses me off. You go after somebody like that to your best player and nobody stands up in 2 years' time. You couldn't find one regular season game. You're not going to do it in the playoffs. I know maybe that's old school of me, but I'm like, you go after our best player this year, but easily our top 2 players, and nothing happens to you ever in a 2-year span. That bothers me.
Oh yeah, but they've never been really wired that way. But now it's a different story. You got 3 guys that, are playing a lot more physical, and 2 of them are a lot more comfortable playing that way and are quite comfortable with any type of response you want to have after. So I see the Oilers taking a little bit of redemption, and not, I know it's the playoffs, like you said, but I do see them taking shots and extra shots. But these refs are in a tough spot because you get every athlete, when you're playing, you're constantly looking at ways to get the advantage and somewhat, I guess, cheat, right? And now they're in the middle of a whole bunch of guys that are trying to get every piece of leverage and inch that they can get, and you're trying to decipher what's fair, what's okay, and what's not okay. And then the time of the game so much impacts probably those decisions and those split moments, right? But I mean, it's I love it. I love the emotion. I love it. I actually love it when they miss a call, because then, like you said, the passion of the fans and the emotion, and that's, players feed off of that too.
Yeah, well, it gets the crowd into the game. Like
which gets the players in the game.
The louder the building is all game, to me, it's better for everybody. It's a better atmosphere. You're paying the huge bucks to go to the game. You might as well make it more entertaining, make it more emotional. When you come out of that game, I had to sit down here. Geez, I'm just burn a lot of calories off. It's fun just cheering. And that's what makes the playoffs so great. Like, I was watching that game in Winnipeg. Yeah. And I was just like, you know what? I was really happy for Winnipeg. Like, they don't win anything. Like, let's call a spade here. The Jets didn't win anything when it was Jets 1.0. And now they come back, Jets 2.0. They got to the conference finals once. That's it. And, man, you have Hellebuyck. He had a great year again, and then he's just getting lit up. Like, pulled 3 times. And like, he went 4 games in a row where he had a below 800 save percentage in 3 of them. So Stuart Skinner has 2 bad games that people are losing their mind. Imagine 4, right? 4 in a row. And by the way, Skinner's he's not a Vezina Trophy winner. He's not considered one of the top 3 goalies in the league. You're kind of like, okay, yeah, he's not that good. Well, Hellebuyck's supposed to be great. And then you get to the playoffs and he's meh.
Do you think he found enough in his game in that series?
I got it. Let me, you know what, Brownie? Let me see him on the road, because that game was at home, and yes, he was good. He still let in a terrible. I did not like. Was it the first goal? It's like, I'm sorry, that goal shouldn't beat you. And or whichever first or second goal. One of the goals in the first period by the Blues. I'm like, this is a Vezina Trophy goalie, unscreened from distance, can't beat you.
Yeah.
So I want to see what happens in Dallas. Now they're going to need Hellebuyck to play out of his mind, or they're not winning that series. I think that they're an underdog significantly, especially with Scheifele and Morrissey uncertainty and Heiskanen coming back. Like, no. But Hellebuyck's going to have to say, guess what, boys? I didn't show up for 3 games in St. Louis, made us have to go to 7. I might have to, just become a brick wall here for game 1 in Dallas.
But I think, was there enough in that game? Because the way he started and the way he finished was different, right? And just, you could just tell with his body language and the way and the comfort that he was feeling in the net. Was there enough in his game that he found? Because as an athlete, that's what you're looking for.
That's what you have to hope so. I'm sure he and the Jets are all like, yeah, we hope so.
Because it doesn't, with Dallas, it doesn't get any easier.
Oh God, it gets harder. Right, it gets harder. So that's they're a big underdog for me for sure. So we'll see. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Shane Malloy will join us. Lots of picks, and I'm telling you, the one guy that I think, like, if I'm going 5 years down the road, who I think is going to be a better impact player, that's who I would take number 1. We'll talk to Shane about it next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
At Fountain Tire, we're all about one thing: taking care of your vehicle. Oh, and your wallet. I guess that's 2 things. Save up to 20% off select tires until June 14th. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions, take 1 for Gene Principe. Hey, thanks for being on time.
I'm always punctual. Now, how about some cool beats while I drop the heat?
Ready when you are.
Tall legacy, tall legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for AC season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike Legacy, I never know when to cool it.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Spring style and road-ready performance are more affordable than ever. Now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Lease or finance a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save up to $5,000. Lease a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $3,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save $2,000. Get ready for the open road at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services, only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Work hard, get dirty, build better communities. If that sounds like a good day's work to you, GS Construction wants you to be part of their team. Right now, GS Construction is looking to hire experienced top men and pipe layers for underground sewer and water work. So if you know your way around a trench, take pride in doing the job right, and want to be part of a crew that has your back, let's get to work together. Apply now at gsconstruction.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Garage Superstore. By Premier Built Garage is the ultimate destination for everything garage, storage solutions, cabinets, vehicle hoists, accessories, and even Traeger grills. Visit our massive 8,000 square foot showroom at Calgary Trail and 34th Ave or online at garagesuperstore.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$3:28. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Sports1440.ca. Thanks for watching. Listening, download the app as well. We appreciate it. as the NHL playoffs round 2 resumes tonight. Florida and Toronto, the only game. Then we got 2 tomorrow. You'll have Washington and Carolina, and then the Oilers and Vegas. Dallas and Winnipeg will get going on Wednesday, and the Oilers are going to play every second day. Excuse me. Again, I know some people are like, oh, the other team gets an extra break during it. Well, the Oilers and Vegas, they got an extra day before it started. Like, there's no conspiracy. There's no conspiracy, whatever word you want to use, excuse me. It's just how it is. There's arena deal, but TV plays a big factor in it. And guess what? It's exactly even for Edmonton and Vegas. What the other series do is irrelevant. Edmonton and Vegas are playing every second day. They have the exact same travel. They're going the same distances. The only difference is Edmonton has to travel to Vegas first. That's the only difference. Now, let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Hockey Super League, a premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development, offering borderless hockey, including provincial and cross-province competition. Check out hockeysuperleague.ca for more information from Hockey Prospect Radio. Over 20 years as an amateur scout, Shane Malloy joins us. Shaner, welcome back to the show, my man. How you doing?
Gentlemen, things are great. Just waiting to see what happens with the lottery. I'm hoping for a little chaos.
Yeah. Who do you want? Is there's a team when you look at this year's draft, because I think you could make a real strong argument on who you want number one, depending on what your organization looks at down the road, and maybe even how you view these guys. Is there a team that you think would benefit the most from winning the lottery tonight?
Chicago. I know that sounds weird because they had Bedard, but they really need somebody who could project into that 1-2 punch. They need a 1-2 punch. I think Oliver Moore as a prospect will be very good, and they have Frank Nazar there too, but every Stanley Cup champion tends to have that 1-2 punch down the middle, and they don't have that yet. So if they can get to one, then I suspect they would take Michael Misa first overall.
Okay, and that, you know what? Thank you. So, I've seen a lot of, the projections. Hey, Matthew Schaefer, really good defenseman. I like him a lot. No problem. But the difference between him and Misa, you watch these guys way more than me. Who do you have number one on your list, and how close is it?
Currently, and this will stay, I have Schaefer as one. And main reason for that is, I'm not saying it's because Brownie's on the show too, and he's a D-man, but the fact of having scarcity, how hard it is to find a defenseman who can play top pairing minutes, and supply and demand. When you're trying to build your franchise and trying to get out there, whether in a trade or free agency, the cost of acquisition is ridiculous. So if you can get one that high who projects to be a top pairing D, for me, I always take it. I'm much more conservative on my list. So I had Jason Gregor on my show all the time. He laughs at me because I always draft to the floor of a player, not necessarily their ceiling. So that's, in the end of the day, I take Schaefer. His style stylistically is similar to, I'd say, Sanderson in Ottawa. They're both tall, lanky, great feet, smart players, can move the puck, can take away time and space. That's how he defends. He just takes away time and space, but then he creates time and space with his skating ability and his hockey sense. So at the end of the day, I'll go with the defenseman.
Shane, I know it's not Gavin McKenna's draft year, but he's obviously putting up incredible numbers. What do you think for him in the future? What does the WHL hold for him? Does he come back and play another season? Does he try and do maybe something like Austin Matthews and go over to Europe and play with men? Or what are your thoughts on what he does maybe next year?
That's the concern I have, is when you get to a point where you've dominated in a league and then you come back again, I mean, really dominate, you can start picking up bad habits and start, most of these high-end players won't do that, but you can start picking up some bad habits. At this point, I don't think there's any more he can learn from the WHL. It's, as much as I'm sure the WHL doesn't want me to say this, or the Medicine Hat Tigers, it's time for him to move on. And most likely, I think that the easiest path for him is to go play in the NCAA, because just the difference between the average age of a forward in the CHL is 18 and a half years of age. College hockey is 21 and a half years of age. So there's bigger, stronger, faster, more mature, more structured in their game. It's going to give them a bigger challenge. They may not be necessarily in some cases as talented, but it's a bigger challenge for him. So I think that's the next step, because I'm not sure what else. What's he going to do? Put up 3 points a game in the dub next year? It's actually at a point where it's getting a little bit ridiculous. He's that dominant.
Yeah. You know what? Kill penalties. There's always different ways to look at it. I guess to me, I could understand why the WHL would want him for sure. And, you know, I think Craig Button brought up a point and goes, hey, are you comfortable? Do you like everything in Medicine Hat? If you know exactly what you have there and you enjoy your teammates and how you're treated, you know what? The driven players, they're driven. He'll be like, you know what? I've never really killed penalties, so now I want to kill penalties and get a little bit better defensively. Like, because if you look, the great players, I think, are always trying to challenge themselves to get better. But I want to go back to this year's draft and tonight. You know, Schaefer, Misa, you know, Hagen's. Like, what about like the forward group? So you'll take the defenseman, and I totally get it. But I would counter that if you don't have an elite centerman, right, or an elite winger. Ask the Colorado Avalanche what happens when you trade away an elite winger and then you don't replace him with one. Like, it's, you know, any elite guy, if you can get one, is great. I'm happy no one's using the term generational because it's get thrown out there way too often and annoys the hell out of me. But this year's class, when you looked 5 years down the road, Shane, which forwards do you think have the best chance to be like, you know, difference maker forwards at the NHL?
Oh, I would say Michael Misa, one. I think Porter Mortone is a possibility as well because he's a power forward. Again, scarcity. They're very rare, pure power forwards that can score. I think Caleb Denoye, who plays in Moncton, there's a possibility there as well, only because not very often you see a player who has the ability that he has off the puck. It's always the last thing for forwards to really start to click, and he's so far advanced of his peer group. That's a possibility as well where you can put him in any situation. Anton Frendel is in that grouping as well. Like, he's very mature for his game. And then obviously Hagens is a possibility. I don't want to be that. I am a Western guy, but so there's always a size factor with me. Can he, and it's really about off-puck play, can he defend, particularly in open ice on the road against bigger, stronger, faster forwards? As he matures, is that going to be a problem for him? Is he going to have to be protected a little bit in terms of his ice time in that way? So, but he's immensely talented. And once again, he's playing in college hockey against bigger, you know, stronger, faster, more mature players. I can't, like, as much as I grew up in the Western Hockey League and the BC Hockey League and Alberta Junior Hockey League, you have to respect college hockey based on the fact that they're just older players. That 3 years is a massive advantage. So when people say, but he's only a point a game, he's a point a game against guys who are 22 and 23 and 21 years of age, and he's 18. Like, to me, I think sometimes we don't give those players enough credit for what they have to go through.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Shane Malloy joins us talking NHL draft prospects. Of course, the draft lottery goes tonight, just after 5 o'clock Edmonton time. And for the first year, you're going to see the actual live lottery ball, different than, where they knew who won in the background, then they held it and they wait and they undo the cards one at a time. So I actually kind of like that format, basically because all the conspiracy theorists won't have anything to complain about, although I'm sure they'll find something. You mentioned Frundell and a few other guys. I always like to go into the first round because every year there's a kid in the first round, Kyle Connor was taken 17th. The guy's just a perennial 40-goal scorer. So we get in kind of that middle part of the first round. And guys like, Brady Martin, Lakovich, maybe Carbonneau, Carter Bear. Is there a guy who's not projected right now in your top 10, Shane, who you just look at? Because a lot of it is projecting later on, right? Like, they might not be the most talented now, but they've got something in their game that's like, hey, this is a guy, maybe he's a real good scorer. He's just got a little bit quicker, whatever it is. Is there a guy there in the middle part of the first round or even late that you think has the potential to be one of those, maybe later developers that just doesn't get drafted high but ends up being better?
Maybe Justin Carbonneau. And the reason is he reminds me a lot of David Perron stylistically. He has better skating ability than Perron does, but he plays that heavy, hard game down low. And he's a goal scorer. He's a primary goal scorer, but he plays in the greasy areas below the dot and goes there on purpose. And he's very strong at protecting the puck. And I don't say this very often about Q players because they don't come out as often as in the dub and the O, but he's one player because he plays a playoff style player. So anytime I'm evaluating players, it's important to me to be able to project forward does he play a style that works in the playoffs? It's great in the regular season, but you have to be able to project that out. Would what he does on the ice, would that work against an NHL defenseman? Would the types of goals that he scores, is that something that occurs on a regular basis in the NHL, particularly in the playoffs? Because we've seen players throw up 100 points in the CHL often, but how much of it actually translates to the NHL? 30%, 40% of that? So I really look to a player that has that game that's translatable, and I think Carbonneau is a possibility.
Shane, you've been around for a long time, and I'm sure you talked to a ton of scouts. Like, what is it in the later rounds? Because that seems to be when the Oilers are going to be drafting. What is it in the later rounds that players kind of, it's like a non-negotiable, like kind of have to have? Is it skating? Is it compete?
For me, it's skating, compete, and versatility. Because once you get down into the farther parts of the draft, you have to have a player who has a B game and hopefully a C game in that respect. So you can have a super highly talented, skilled player, but maybe that's all they have. So if that's not working for them, then they have a hard time staying in the lineup. They either play on, the second line as a winger, or they don't play at all. But if you can get a player in the later rounds, 4th rounds, 5th rounds, that has a lot of versatility in his game, can kill some penalties, is strong off the puck, has some grit in his game, can skate, can forecheck, willing back check, there's a role for him somewhere in the NHL. Like William Carrier is a perfect example of that. He was with Vegas Golden Knights, and then, obviously in Carolina. He's an example of a later round pick that has turned into having a long career in the NHL and has won a cup because he has versatility in his game. He can play around the lineup, and coaches can trust him. So that's what I really look for. Once you get out of, honestly, the mid-second round, my list starts to really funnel towards those types of players.
Shane Malloy joins us. After Schaefer, like who's the best defenseman? And maybe now I'm actually going to reword that. Who's the big body defenseman? Because, man, Shane, every year there are these guys. Well, how'd this guy drop to the 3rd round or 2nd round? But he's a big defenseman. And you just, the big guys at a young age, 17, they can't necessarily, don't have the strength to just pull around their big frame yet. But who are some of those big D-men that you think, man, like you watch this guy right now, maybe a little bit of Bambi looking like on the ice at times, doesn't have great edge work, but a lot of it just comes down to just a lack of power for their size.
Eric Chernak was a perfect example of that. He was drafted by the LA Kings,
yes,
and obviously with Tampa Bay. So if you look through this draft, even if you're going through the 1st round, even Jackson Smith and Radim Mertka, I would even go with a guy like Blake Fiddler in Edmonton here with the Oil Kings. You give him 4 years and see what he looks like. And then once again, I'm a big advocate of big, lanky defensemen who can take away time and space and make you feel some pain in the defensive zone. Like those guys are a godsend. Every time you look at the trade deadline or free agency, what do general managers covet? It's those type of defensemen. They never go out of vogue. And in the playoffs, that's the kind of guys that you want. So like Blake Fiddler, I think is a perfect example of a guy who may end up dropping into that later part of the 1st round, but in 4 years from now, you're going to wish you had him. And he'll probably ends up projecting as a 2nd pairing D, but a guy who can kill penalties and he can log a lot of minutes and he can be a real dangerous player to have in your lineup because he's going to compete hard. So it's those kind of players that I really gravitate towards. If you'll look at my list as I did last year and this year, you'll see the majority. I almost never have a smaller defenseman. To me, they have to prove that they can be exceptional defensively, like the Jared Spurgeons of the world or the Brock Fabers. They have off puck. They got to be exceptional, because how do you defend in the playoffs against these bigger, stronger, faster forwards? That's tough sledding. So when in doubt, give me a big Western defenseman.
Yeah, well, it's the size does. I know people don't like to hear it, but it does matter. The smaller defensemen have to be elite or ultra competitive or just so good defensively, positionally that you can see. And that's hard because it's sometimes at the junior ranks, Shane, like teams they want to win. And so if you got a smaller guy, we're just going to put him in offensive situations. And I don't really care about his defensive game, right? That's a balance too.
Well, that's part of the challenge of development. So when you're an amateur scouting your NHL organization, environment matters of how that player works in that system. How do they deploy him? What's the environment he's in? It all factors into whether you should draft a smaller defenseman. And, I've sat with the scouts like for, 20, 25 years, and it always comes back to that with smaller D is, can they defend in the playoffs? Because if they can't, like, what are we going to do with them? And how many remember it was in vogue for a few years, all these small defensemen were drafted in the first round. I'm not picking on them, but you look at, Nick Beaudin, first round pick of Chicago, and Boquist and guys like that who went really high, Brandstrom, but have had a really hard time sticking in the NHL and playing regularly because they have a hard time defending. And there are anomalies. Like I use Jared Spurgeon as an example. When I'm coaching the kids, like U11 team, I use game film of him specifically because he's just so elite at taking away time and space. If you're going to be a smaller defenseman, that's what you need to do.
Shane, you keep talking about the WHL and the difference between the OHL, WHL, and the Quebec. What do you think the difference is? It seems I'm an OHL guy, so I'm a little bit biased, but what do you think the difference is between the three leagues?
Part of it's actually culture is of how that region likes to play their hockey. So the OHL overall always has a greater talent base. They have a greater population, and you can't discount that the GTHL. Their ability to have all those players condensed into one area and play against each other, it makes all those players better. The dub is more spread out. We play a little bit more of an old school style, and that's part of our culture. And then the Q is now, because I'm living out in that region, they're much more freewheeling, less structured, a little bit more give and go and just play with your hair on fire. So it's just, I find it's actually more cultural based, and it's the way we've always done it. So there is a little bit of that involved in each of those leagues. But that makes it interesting too, because if it was all homogenous, it would just be boring, right? So, like in the end of the day, if you look historically, if I'm going to get defensemen, I go to the dub, and then if I'm going for forwards, I generally would like kind of steer towards the OHL. But you always find the defensive defensemen that are drafted late. You can almost pinpoint them in the draft, like 6'3", 195 pounds. Yeah. Pretty decent skater, decent with the puck, but not great, but just smart and dependable. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. You'll watch 5 years later, all of a sudden, they're a third pairing defenseman in the NHL, and people are like, well, how did he get there? Jake Middleton, 7th round pick of the LA Kings. Another example of those things happening. So I don't discount the big I actually am an advocate of defensive defensemen because I think they kind of get maligned a lot because they don't put up sexy numbers, and it's harder to quantify their value. But at the end of the day, look Toronto Maple Leafs, their whole back end has changed. Who did they bring in? Tanev and McCabe and now Carlo. They're all defensive defensemen, and their whole team looks different on the blue line because of that. Well, if you're going to do that, why not do that at the draft? Like actually look for those players specifically and try to draft them and then develop them up. Even if they're going to be on a third pair, that saves you millions of dollars in acquisition to get them later. If you don't have to do it, don't do it then. Do it early.
Shane, last one. We've seen a lot here the last 5-7 years. Players, +1 draft, +2 after. Just they're older now. Like 50%, if not more, are guys who passed through the draft the first time, which is great because I don't think they should be there after that young. And a lot of those guys now are NCAA players. Right. How many, like when you look at those type of players who maybe got passed over once, which I don't think people should look at as a negative at all. It's just, you got more video of them. How many more of those guys do you see going? And is there any players that are kind of +1 draft that you're looking out for?
Well, I think certainly it would be great if our draft was a little bit later. If we could have a 19-year-old draft, a 20-year-old draft would be fantastic, but it's never going to happen. We might get a later round 19-year-old draft. The reason being, we should have such a small sample size to try to project a 17, 18-year-old kid into a 23-year-old man. So anytime that you can get that draft +1 or even draft +2, and maybe with now the CHL players being eligible to college hockey in the States, we may see more of that trend happening. And I actually like the fact that the CHL players now have that option, because the longer we can keep them away from the American League is a meat grinder. Brownie, that it's a meat grinder of a league, and you get these 20-year-old kids who come in from the CHL and their eyes are as big as saucers, like they got run over by a truck by Christmas time, and some of them don't recover. So if, that's why I want to see is we can get some draft +1 or maybe draft +2 because those CHL players go that direction. I think the league will be better for it. I think sometimes, and I'm subject to this as well, is we're too impatient to be intelligent. And we're so impatient for results now that sometimes we don't let the players develop at the pace that they're supposed to. Because if you look at the draft, once you get into the late first round, they're all draft +4, draft +5 players. Almost all of them. Occasionally you'll get an outlier, but it's almost that. So what are we in a rush for? We might as well even let them, if they can, the danger is let them slide through and hoping that somebody doesn't draft them late. Then you're out of luck. So sometimes you just have to get them early in the draft.
Yeah, but I wholeheartedly agree with you, man. The draft, if anything, if the biggest benefit come from NCAA is that the NHL moves their draft age back a year, then God, I wish this would have happened a long time ago, because I think it'd be better for everybody involved, from players to families to the team, fans. It would be a higher success rate. The fact that everybody just deems it, you got a 12% chance of hitting on a draft pick and like that should be okay, it's ridiculous to me.
Well, it's crazy. The average for an NHL team is 28.5% success rate in any draft. The best drafting team consistently from 2006 to 2020 is the LA Kings, and they're in the high 30s. So it's a really tough go. So if we could add an extra year, it would just make our lives so much easier. I go into the rink sometimes and I might as well put a paper bag on my head. Like, what am I watching here? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to project a kid 6 years down the road, 5 years down the road. I have two boys at home. I have no idea what they're going to be when they're adults. How am I supposed to figure out somebody else's kid? So
very true, man. Shaner, as always, buddy, great stuff. We appreciate it. So for fun, who wins the lottery?
For fun. Oh, let's cause some chaos. Philadelphia Flyers. That'll cause some chaos in the league.
Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot. Awesome. Thanks, Shaner. Have a good one.
Take care, gentlemen.
There you go. That's Shane Malloy. Doing that for over 20 years, man. He's grinding it out in the rinks. You got to watch a lot of hockey if you want to be a good scout, and he's doing it for a long time. Quick break. We'll come back on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, Alberta. The all-new Play Alberta app is here. Casino, sports betting, lottery, all in one app right on your phone. And because it's Play Alberta, you know it's safe, secure, and reliable. Download it now and play over 500 online casino games, live dealer tables, and unique games you'll love. Plus, bet on sports from anywhere in the province. You in? Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and deposit using promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on the house. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble.
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values, facing an electrical menace, call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take one for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. Are you ready, guys?
We were born ready. Heck yes, Nuge. Drop the beat.
Legacy.
We freaking killed it, Nuge. That's what I'm talking about, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Nice guys. We're going to sell a lot of air conditioners.
Hey, doesn't Legacy offer no payments and no interest for a year on those?
Yeah, well, thanks for the assist on the copy points there, Nuge.
It's just what I do.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
A pizza from Papa John's is already pretty great, but you know what's even better? 2 pizzas from Papa John's. For a limited time, get a medium 1-topping pizza for only $6 when you order any large specialty pizza at regular price. The works, the meats. Pick your favorite specialty pizza and get even more delicious Papa John's to enjoy. Whether you're feeding your family, your team, or yourself, get your next meal from your locally owned and operated Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Kevin Carius, Low Tide, Jason Gregor. They are all ready for the Cup Run. Sports 1440 is your home for all things hockey, including our pre- and post-game show with Andrew Walker. Sports 1440 is Edmonton's sports leader.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, call 1-877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Chinch bug thrive on drought-stressed lawns and kill your grass. You need Green Drop's chinch bug protection for $178, which includes 2 treatments when you sign up for any of our Beautiful Lawns programs.
Canada's lawn expert since 1979. Visit greendrop.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Feeding a crowd, get the triple play. 3 large specialty or 5 topping pizzas for only $54 when you use promo code 3play at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, John Brown, on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Lots of texts coming in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Hey, guys, curious about the goaltending. Now, how do you see this series playing out, and do you think there's any chance Skinner starts game 1? Well, there's always a chance. I would rule it low. Now I know that Stuart Skinner was in the starters net yesterday, albeit at the practice facility, and maybe that's just a little bit of a gamesmanship to get people thinking, but it's also maybe just I think Stuart Skinner is going to be used again in the playoffs. I do, if the Oilers go all the way to the Stanley Cup final, I don't think that Calvin Pickard starts, let's just say an average of 6 games around, that he's going to start 22 consecutive games. I'd be surprised. I guess it's possible, but I'd be surprised. I think they're going to go to both of them at some point. I've always kind of said this. I think Stewart's top end game when they're both on is better, but right now his bottom end game's worse. So, Pickard deserves the start. I think he'll start, but I won't be surprised if we see Skinner in this series.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, Skinner didn't have his best game, and Pickard's doing exactly what he should do. And the team is in the situation that they're in because they're a team. And this is what's going to happen. And, we talked about it, before the playoffs started, that at some point Skinner was going to get in, or Pickard was going to get in there. And so now it's just, Skinner trying to find his game mentally, right? I mean, this is what it's all about now. It's between the ears and handling the ups and downs. But you got to be, as a coach, you got to be happy with the fact that, not only Pickard, but a number of guys have kind of found their game, their confidence. And if they're going to go anywhere as a team, I don't see this being as big of a deal as what it's being maybe made out to be, as far as they're going to win this Stanley Cup as a group, as a team. And let's be thankful the fact that Pickard has, throughout the whole season and the playoffs now, has just continued to do his job and step in there when needed.
Hey, guys, if you're the Oilers, would you move Skinner in the offseason? Frank, I guess my question is why. So here's Fun little fact for you. So Stuart Skinner makes $2.6 million. Pickard makes $1.0 million. So it's 3.6. Now you still have Jack Campbell buyout if you want to add towards the goalie salary cap. You know what? No problem. You look at the top goalies this season in salary, and next year, obviously, Jake Ottinger is currently 22nd. 3 of the top 21 goalies in salary are either not in the playoffs or out of the first round. 3. So you can pay bigger money for your goaltending. What's it guaranteeing to give you? Right? Stuart Skinner didn't have a great 2 games. As I've said many times, I don't think he had a bad one. He didn't make a big save. He didn't let any glaring weak goals. The orders were horrific. How about this? Stuart Skinner in 2 games faced 56 chances, courtesy of ClearSight Analytics. Calvin Pickard in 4 games, right, faced 98? So quite a bit less. Like, so they managed to lower their chances. Now, Pickard still made more big saves. That's why he started, right? But like, you're going to trade Skinner for what? Because you're probably not going to trade him for a goalie who makes similar amount of money. So you're going to look for an upgrade in salary cap. So then you have to downgrade elsewhere. Where are you going to do it? So that's always my question. You can trade any player. You want to trade Stuart Skinner, trade Stuart Skinner. But tell me for who now it's going to work. All the people who want to trade him for John Gibson. 2 weeks later, John Gibson was hurt again. Why would you do that? Right? Why would you do it? It may, like, goaltending in today's NHL. Look at the Vezina Trophy winners. Hellebuyck's in, and he's been awful. Vasilevsky's out. Kemper's out. Like, the environment, I don't know, still say it. I don't care who your goal. To me, I am hesitant to want to pay a goalie big time bucks because I'm like, now Vasilevsky won you 2 cups, sure, but they also had Point and Kucherov. They had a lot of other ones. So can it work? 1,000%. But look at the Rangers. Until their environment changes, it doesn't matter how good Shesterkin is because the goalie can only save so much. If you're continually giving up big chances, I don't care who your goalie is. He's going to give up goals.
We're just seeing the human side of these pro athletes. I mean, they're not, they're going to go through their ups and downs, but what makes Skinner a pro and the rest of them and Pickard is just their ability to figure it out and kind of bounce back. But I mean, we're so spoiled with the fact that year after year, Connor McDavid and Draisaitl are just like, they're at their game at the elitist level, or, other guys throughout the league have different times where they have ups and downs. So, to give up on a guy because, he's struggled a little bit on top of the fact that, as you said, I mean, you could see it. Anyone watching the game knew that the Edmonton Oilers played different in the first 2 games than they did moving forward.
And it's not just because of the goalie. I don't buy that for a second.
What's that?
Now we got a new goalie. We're going to play better. They were desperate. They were terrible. Yeah. Because actually, Knoblock said today, he goes, I thought we defended quite well in every game except game 6. He says the problem was the self-inflicted wounds we had killed us. And in games 1 and 2, it was the self-inflicted wounds that just terrible breakout passes, turnovers in the neutral zones that led to great chances.
I have no problem getting behind Skinner, knowing and feeling that where the Oilers are at right now as a team and how they're defending and the desperation and the details that they're playing in, they could make, any goalie, look good, but it's such a team sport. And, Skinner was just unfortunately in a situation where the team wasn't playing overly great in front of him and let in some of those goals, and it started the snowball. But for the Oilers to have success, I agree with you, Gregor, 100%. Stuart Skinner's going to play a big part.
Now, he's going to have to get back in and do what he did last year when he came back in. Go look at his last 15 games after he missed 2 games in Vancouver. They were excellent, right? He only allowed more than 2 goals 4 times. He was and he out-dueled Jake Ottinger for a whole series, right? He was fine. He could have been better in game 1 and 2. That's why he got pulled. It wasn't just because they were leaking chance all over chance. He obviously didn't make a big save for him. Valid. And down the stretch, he hadn't played well. But I think they'll play both of them. And maybe they'll trade Stuart Skinner in the summer. Maybe. But I'll tell you right now, on the nights when the Oilers, when the Oilers play well, their goalie looks better. So unless you're willing to really buck up for a huge goalie, if you're continually have the gifts that the Oilers had, no goalie's going to save you. That's just how it is. So, and Edmonton proved that last year. Lots of games, Stuart Skinner just had to be solid. And I think that's all you need from your goalie. You don't need your goalie. Sure, it'd be nice to have a goalie play out of his mind, but then you got to pay those guys $8+ million. So how are you going to fit it all in? You got to get rid of someone if you want that to happen. So, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. John Gibson's not the answer for me. He might play better for 30 games. I do not trust John Gibson to be able to last you for a playoff series or a playoff run, right? Where the Oilers are more than a playoff series team, they're a playoff run team. So I don't see it. Brownie, have a great Monday.
I will.
We will chat with you next week.
Awesome.
There you go. That's Sean Brown joins us every Monday here in Sports 1440. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Are you planning a summer road trip? Make your first stop Fountain Tire. From tire checks to oil changes to alignments and brake inspections, they'll make sure your vehicle is ready for every mile ahead. Find the nearest location at fountaintire.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
One game on the ice tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Leafs Panthers from Toronto. Game 1 of their best of 7. That gets going just after 6 o'clock. Off the ice, the LA Kings and GM Rob Blake mutually parting ways today. That was confirmed by team president Luke Robitaille. Nashville Predators GM Barry Trotz telling reporters that the team will stick with head coach Andrew Burnett for next season. After a big offseason, the Preds finished third last in the NHL with 68 points. And Minnesota Wild goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury will play for Team Canada at the IIHF Men's World Hockey Championship. It will be his first time representing Canada, joining former teammate Sidney Crosby. 2 games in the association, both games won. So the Celtics host the Knicks at 5, then at 7:30 Nuggets in OKC to take on the Thunder. Major League Baseball got action getting going at 4:40 with the Marlins hosting the Dodgers, followed by the Padres in New York taking on the Yankees. Royals host the White Sox, Giants up against the Cubbies, Diamondbacks host the Mets and the Mariners in Sacramento. And from the NFL, Baltimore Ravens releasing kicker Justin Tucker. Tucker had been accused of inappropriate behavior by 16 massage therapists from 8 different Baltimore spas and wellness centers. The team did draft Tyler Loop, also insisting that this was a football decision. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, it's your next chance to qualify for Here Comes the Sun. We'll be joined by Mark Spectre of Rogers Sportsnet and ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
A pizza from Papa John's is already pretty great, but you know what's even better? 2 pizzas from Papa John's. For a limited time, get a medium 1-topping pizza for only $6 when you order any large specialty pizza at regular price. The works, the meats. Pick your favorite specialty pizza and get even more delicious Papa John's to enjoy. Whether you're feeding your family, your team, or yourself, get your next meal from your locally owned and operated Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take 1 for Gene Principe. Hey, thanks for being on time.
I'm always punctual. Now, how about some cool beats while I drop the heat?
Ready when you are.
Tall legacy, tall legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for AC season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike Legacy, I never know when to cool it.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Playoff time on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. This is Andrew Walker, and join us for the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show before each Edmonton playoff game. Cross Mitsubishi on 34th Ave and 96th Street.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Spring style and road-ready performance are more affordable than ever. Now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Lease or finance a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save up to $5,000. Lease a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 4.9% and save $3,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save $2,000. Get ready for the open road at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services, only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Hi there, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and like most actors, I have a list of things that I like to have on set. It's called a rider. It's just little things like wind chimes being blown by an easterly breeze, a 7-year-old calico cat growing on my lap, and of course, 2 freshly cracked eggs scrambled with crispy hash brown, sausage crumble, and creamy chipotle sauce from Tim Hortons. It smells amazing. Now where did I put that hand-carved wooden spoon? From my rider to Tim's menu, try my new scrambled eggs loaded breakfast box.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.411, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, sports1440.ca. Hope you're having an awesome Monday. Calm before the storm. Plan ahead tomorrow night. Game 1, Oilers and Vegas. 2 years since these teams met in the second round. Of course, it was in the Pacific Division Final. Vegas won in 6. That was the series. Draisaitl had 4 goals in Game 1. The Oilers lost 6-4, though. And then they split the lines up, and the Jack Eichel's line, which was Marchessault and Barbashev at the time. They were the killer Oilers in that series. Also, I think a little bit of the killer was Jay Woodcroft's decision not to play McDavid at home against the Eichel line. I didn't understand it. Still don't understand it. So, especially in Game 6, kidding me? Now, Game 6 didn't start great. That was when Ekholm had a rare turnover mid in the game, right in the slot. Boom. 1-0. The Oilers just never recovered. So they will obviously look for redemption. They're a very different team. Vegas has lots of different guys. Obviously, Marchessault's not there, but a lot of the core guys, back end, goaltending, Eichel, Stone, Carlson, they're all there. So should be a heck of a series, and I don't think it's going to take long to have some heightened animosity between the two, which should be great. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game and use the promo code Gregor100 for $100 free play at PlayAlberta.ca. Now, it is the 4 o'clock hour, and it's your time to qualify for Here Comes the Sun. Unbelievable package, courtesy of our friends at Action Electrical, where our winner is going to get a $15,000 turnkey solar system for your home. Okay? Very simple. Now, we got this week and then next, and that's it. And then we'll do the draw on Friday, the 23rd of May. So you need to be a homeowner. You need to have your home residing within 50 kilometers in the Edmonton area. And ideally, newer shingles, 12 years or newer, just because it saves you significant cost down the road. So now this $15,000, just the installation. It doesn't include all the savings over the term of you having this on your home. Now, I've had solar panels on our barn at the farm for years. It cut down my mom's power bills significantly. You're going to save huge money. So this is not just the installation. It's the long-term saving. It's an unbelievable package, courtesy of Action Electrical. So I think this is very easy. You're going to text in your name and the correct answer. The question is, the first ever third period hat trick in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final happened in the Stanley Cup playoffs, happened this weekend. A third period hat trick in Game 7. I'll give you even a hint. It was Saturday night. I think you'll know the answer. So text in the name of the player who had a third period hat trick. It says Tim came from behind to win. And your name. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. But aren't you well inbox? There you go. So you'll have some time. I know if you're listening online, everybody's always, don't worry. We got you got oodles of time. Well, you got about because we'll do the draw during the commercial break, and then we'll have the winner on the other side. So the name of the player who had a third period trick, which is pretty good, I should tell you. Pretty good. Now, when we do that, let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. We're stop in at Volvo, and you can get some unbelievable savings right now and some great vehicles. If you want a Volvo XC90 plug-in hybrid, ooh, mama, 1.49% and save an additional $5,000. Great vehicles, better service. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. And what does Chris Knoblock see as the biggest challenge Vegas has compared to LA?
I think there's a lot of things that they do well, and I don't want to discredit LA at all. One, I think their defense make it hard to get to the net, how big they are, but as big as they are and physical as they are, they still have a lot of offensive ability. Usually you think of big, strong defensemen being stay-at-home guys that don't produce much offensive in the play, but I don't think that's the case with them at all. I think all six of them provide some offense, but make it hard to get for the opposition, hard to get to the net just with their size and strength. With their systems, LA was a man-on-man. LA is completely different than that. But I think the biggest thing is just how dangerous they are off the rush as a group. They scored more goals off the rush than any team in the NHL during the regular season. So that's going to be really important that we are managing pucks and we have a good back check to limit those opportunities.
For Vegas, as far as, how do they create so many chances off the rush?
I think it's a little of everything. I don't think there's one thing that they say, well, we really pounce on this type of play. Yes, there's turnovers. That's a big part of it. Whether it's a change of possession in their defensive zone and they've got quick transition going the other way. The forwards can make some good plays. If you give them some space, I don't know. There's just collectively, for all many reasons, why they score a lot off the rush.
And the other one, the Oilers' defensive game. When you look, they scored the most goals in the first round, but only LA allowed more goals than Edmonton. So where's his defensive game at? Where does he want to see improvements?
Well, I'll say Game 6 is probably an outlier of what and how we played. I think that was one game we were poor defensively. I see a lot of the opportunities coming from self-inflicted wounds. There's a difference between making a mistake and defending. And I think overall through the series, minus the last game, we defended really well, didn't give up many opportunities from the other team making plays, because I thought we checked well. Where we gave up a lot of opportunities were self-inflicted mistakes. And a lot of those off the breakouts, just not making a play, maybe a turnover in the neutral zone, those kind of things where are more of an offensive type play that went wrong. So, and I think as the series went on, we got a lot better at those type of plays. And against LA Vegas, the defending, how we defend is going to be a lot different, but we want to defend as well as we did, or for the most part, as well as we did in the first round, but limit those mistakes.
Well, there you go. I think pretty straightforward for the Oilers. Overall, didn't mind how his team defended, but the big errors, that was the ugly part for them. Not good at all. We will I'll give you one more try, if you haven't already, for Here Comes the Sun, a chance to qualify for a $15,000 turnkey solar system for your home. The question today: this player scored the NHL's first ever Game 7 hat trick in the third period alone. He got a hat trick in the third. His team came back to win. Your name and his name, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440.
If you bleed orange and blue and you're not using the all-new Play Alberta Sports and Casino app, then you're missing out. It's the only online sportsbook with odds boosts on all Oilers games. And now, it's not just sports. Play the slots, hit the tables, buy lottery tickets, all in one app, all across Alberta. Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and use promo code GOAL for a $100 bonus. That's promo code GOAL!
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Are you looking for safe and professional travel options? Look no further than Silent Rides, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. Whether your group is big or small, Silent Rides has you covered. We offer state-of-the-art motor coaches, first-class service, and affordable rates. Get your quote today. For more information, call 1-877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
The Bricks tent sale is on now. With so many items to clear out, they've had to set up tents in the parking lot. Save up to 60% off clearance items in the tent and store. With new specials every day and a bonus gift with furniture purchases over $9.99, these offers won't last long. Save up to 50% off select mattresses, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, and the more you buy, the more you save. Up to an extra $1,000 off appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for detail. The Brick, saving you more.
Thursday, May 8th is McHappy Day, when every menu item purchased at McDonald's helps support families with sick children. So you can feel the good that comes from doing good, just from ordering.
So if I order a Big Mac, I'm helping.
Yup.
What about a McFlurry? 10-piece chicken McNuggets and apple pie?
You got it. Every single order helps. Join us at McDonald's for McHappy Day on Thursday, May 8th. Do good, feel good. A portion of food and beverage sales will support RMHC chapters and local children's charities across Canada.
It's the Spend More, Save More event at your local co-op. From May 1st to 5th, stop by your local co-op home or agro center for incredible savings. It's the perfect time to stock up on home and farm supplies. When you spend $100, you'll get $10 off your purchase. Spend $200 to get $30 off, or spend $300 to get $50 off. The more you spend, the more you save. Count on co-op to supply the tools, equipment, and all your farm and acreage essentials. We're your one-stop shop for home and farm supplies. Spend more, save more. Spend more, save more offer at participating co-op home and agro centers.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh,
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Blue Jays baseball is back on Sports 1440. This Saturday and Sunday, listen live to the broadcast of Canada's favorite team. Proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball. We are Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan for all your residential water needs. Your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles. Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Cougar running things at Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Welcome back. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province. It's your one-stop shop, casinos, lottery, sports, live dealer, instants, and more at PlayAlberta.ca. Also, 75 million Lotto Max tomorrow. Good luck. God, that'd be great. Whew. Make for a fun summer for you, I would think. Probably a fun life. Now, let's get to our qualifier today for the Here Comes the Sun promotion, courtesy of Action Electrical. It's a $15,000. It's valued up to $15K, a turnkey solar system for your home, courtesy of Action Electrical. Pretty darn amazing. And all the savings you're going to get for every year after that. Fantastic. And today's qualifier is Jeff B. Jeff, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing, Jay?
I'm awesome, man. It's a good time if you like sports, playoffs in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball's kicking up. CFL training camps right around the corner. I'm loving it. F1 is kind of crazy this year, so it's great. Give me your thoughts on the Oilers and Vegas.
I'm going to say Oilers in 6. Split the first 2 games here, and then just going to roll at home.
Going to roll at home.
Saturday is going to be amazing, isn't it?
Oh, geez. Inside and outside, man. It'll be quite a party for Edmontonians. For the solar package for your home, would you keep it or would you gift it?
Oh, I'm going to do a gift. Yeah. Either my parents or maybe my cousin Mike or something like that. But I know my parents they'd really like that.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go. We'll stay on the line. Connor Halley will give you the final information. There's one final step with an email that you get later this week. You fill it out and then you rock and roll, man. So congratulations and best of luck. We'll do the draw live on the 23rd of May.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for everything.
Awesome. There you go. Your next chance to win tomorrow in the 4 o'clock hour for Here Comes the Sun, brought to you by Action Electrical, which is just, it's amazing package, man. Absolutely amazing package. And the correct answer, by the way, was none other than Mikko Rantanen. All right. Mikko Rantanen, first player ever in NHL history to have a hat trick in the 3rd period of Game 7. Man, what a comeback for the Stars. What a comeback for the Jets the next night. Like this, the Oilers didn't play this weekend. And I still felt like, I was invested in these games. It was awesome. Just coming down to the wire. Colorado's going to win this game. Oh, geez, this is a tough loss for Dallas. But I was kind of, geez, man, they didn't have Heiskin. They didn't have Robertson. But you know what, geez, they were right there. And then all of a sudden it's a goal. And then it's another goal. And then it's another power play goal. Now, I know the Avs fans didn't love that second power play. But, hey, I thought Colorado sat back a bit too much in the 3rd period, man. Sometimes I don't think a coach coaches you to sit back. I think sometimes it just gets in your psyche as a player and, momentum goes the other way and all of a sudden you're on your heels and it's hard to turn it over in a Game 7 or, lots of times in the playoffs. And then you fast forward to last night, like, come on. Like, I wonder if anybody shut that game off thinking, okay, it's over. 2-0, there's 2 minutes left, done. Jets score minute 56. And then 3 seconds remain. That is the latest game-tying goal in a Game 7 ever in NHL history, which doesn't really surprise us. There's not much time left, 3 seconds, and Cole perfect. What a play by Nikolai Ehlers, who lots of times in that game, man, just looked like he was scared to make a play. And then, man, he made an unbelievable pass. I thought he was shooting for sure, but puts it right on the tape, and Perfetti redirects it in, and man, it goes absolutely nuts in Winnipeg, inside and out. And for a fan base that really has never won, like honestly, what if they got to a conference final once? That's it. And they had some really good teams in Winnipeg 1.0 in the 80s, but they couldn't beat the Flames or the Oilers. It was tough. Even in the 90s, they were up on the Oilers 3-1 in 1990. They came back and won 3 straight. So I still think they'll be hard-pressed to win that series against Dallas, but at least they won. Now, let's get to the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction, your partner in underground infrastructure. They are the specialists for anything underground, whether it's for running water, all to get to the freeways working. They do it all at GS Construction. Mark Spectre joins us. Spec, are you already in Vegas?
No, I'm standing at the Edmonton airport waiting for a plane, buddy.
Wait, no, you're on the 5:30 plane like a lot of the other guys?
5:30, yes, sir.
All right. Chris Knoblock had, I thought, a really good breakdown of kind of how it's different for Vegas, different from LA. Now, Edmonton's a lot different. We had Ken Boehlke on from Vegas, and he's like, man, like Minnesota had one line. If you could shut them down, you had success. Obviously, even when you shut down Edmonton's top line, the other second, third, and fourth line scored 6 goals in games 5 and 6 to help win the game 5-on-5. So they obviously have more depth. They've scored the most goals in the NHL playoffs thus far at 4.5 a game. Break down this series and maybe how different do you think it is from the one we saw 2 years ago?
Well, I think the one thing that we're not like with this team, and I think this might be the first time where when Knobloch used to play Draisaitl and McDavid together, we said that's a great line, but what's going to happen underneath of them? Do they have enough underneath to get through the shifts that you don't have those two together? And all of a sudden this team, they do, right? This the last 3-4 games of that LA series, they did. So, we'll see. Does that make him want to play those two together more? Does he go back to playing them apart? I don't know how he's going to do it, but that's always the canary in the coal mine for Edmonton, right? How do you do when you put those two together? What happens with the rest of your team? The rest of the team did pretty well against LA.
Oh, God, yeah. No, well, and LA is probably a little bit quicker overall than Vegas, but Vegas crushes you off the rush. I think they're very efficient at transitioning the puck. Their long defensemen are able to knock down pucks, and then they transition. Theodore, Pietrangelo, and others can move it up quickly. So I think Edmonton, as much of the other thing they do is, though, Edmonton cannot try the risky pass, I think, high in the offensive zone that leads to an odd man rush the other way. Because if you do it too often, they're going to kill you off the rush.
They're really good off the rush, and that's the way they've been built, and they prey on that for sure. That D-to-D pass across the top of the zone. Sometimes you'll see Draisaitl get it over the line and do the old Wayne Gretzky curl near the top of the circle, and then he's looking for somebody that's coming. That's the kind of pass that Vegas just is waiting to grab that puck and go the other direction for sure. Listen, we've all seen enough of Vegas here. Like there's certainly not going to surprise the Oilers, and even us media and fans and stuff. I watched them play a ton. They do get you on the rush. They're giant in their own zone. They're not going to be as quick as LA, but they're a lot bigger than LA. And they forecheck you way more than LA.
Yeah.
And I was not that surprised today to see Robbie Blake get canned in LA after not getting that much done, huh?
Well, it's interesting because Sarah Valley reported that they had given him a contract offer. He just didn't sign it. Now, maybe it wasn't an offer, who knows how many years it was or whatever the fact is, but he's been there 8 years. They haven't won a playoff series in 8 seasons. And when I look at LA, at the end of the day, I believe their whole culture and motto of that team is still defense first. Yeah. That's how they approach everything. It's a little passive, and it's never worked. It hasn't worked. Like, it worked in 2012. I shouldn't say never. It's worked in 2012 and 14 and 13. Like, they were really good teams those years. But it has not worked since, right? The game has changed. It used to be able to play more defensive. The game just doesn't allow it anymore. And I think LA has to have a complete organizational change from the top. I still think they got a lot of pieces in LA that I like. Like, when I look at all the teams, like, there's not many GM openings, but I'm kind of curious who they would look for, but I think it's got to be someone who wants to change the culture of LA to be like, hey, we can be sound defensively, but we can't just be one who thinks like offense is secondary.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, look at the team in our town, Edmonton. They're one of the best offensive teams in the game. But every single time they've had success in a series, every time they make a run here, it comes down to a couple of 3-0 or 2-1 games, and they have to figure out how to play that way. And they can on occasion when that, and it's going to happen in this series. When a 2-1 game greets the Edmonton Oilers, when they're playing well, they know what to do with it. And they've won tons of them, right? Tons of those 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. You just don't get out of your car at the rink before the game aiming to play that game. Right. That's the difference.
Yeah.
The Kings show up. That's the game plan. Where here we are. Let's play a 2-0 game again. Well, I don't think you can play that way anymore in the NHL. But as I say, it doesn't mean that game's never going to land on your doorstep. It will. But I just don't like a team that sets out to have that happen.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Yeah, like it just becomes too much of sit back, and then hope we can pounce. And unless you have, because the Oilers, the reason that won the Oilers a few times is because when they did it, then McDavid would score a great goal or Draisaitl would score a great goal. And, that would kind of help them. And I just don't think it's plausible very often. So there'll be a change. Now, usually the GM likes to hire his own coach. So I think the odds of Jim Hiller returning seem to be low too.
Well, generally a new GM comes in, he wants a whole new culture. And, I think, I've been banging on this drum since they were winning cups in 12. And the one thing back in 12 and 14, the LA Kings could say, yeah, we're boring. Yeah, we line up at center ice, but we have Stanley Cup rings. So shut your mouth, Spectre. And they were right. Now it's 13 years later, and they can't win a playoff round that way. So I think they should completely change their culture. I think that you got to get a GM in there that has that same goal. And then he's for sure going to probably go find another coach, a guy that's going to open it up a little bit. And probably this summer, you might even, I have a feeling the players in that dressing room, there's a couple of them that haven't signed that are kind of saying, yeah, well, we'll see. Gavrikov is one of them. I think if you told those guys, we got a new coach in here that wants to play the game, I'll bet you'd have no trouble signing guys in LA.
That's a good place to live. There's no question about that. And they got a lot of good pieces. They're competitive.
And it's a good team. It's a good team for sure.
Yeah. Now looking at Vegas, because we mentioned Edmonton spec and some people were concerned about their offensive depth. Are those, I think I was never really concerned. I said it all year long. When Kane comes in, he makes a big difference. Trent Frederick, another big difference. And Trent Frederick's getting healthier every game. Like the Oilers' depth now through 4, it's not just their offensive depth. I think it's their physical depth. I think they got a really good, nice mixture of size, speed, skill, of course, tenacity, grit. I think they got a real good combination of different guys at different times who can do different things.
Yeah, no, and they kind of have a guy on every line that knows how to finish a puck too. You know what I mean? They've got some skill, a little bit of skill on every line. I really like their chemistry here, and obviously the coach does, because I believe this is the first 4-game stretch of the same lines that this team's played since like November or something. I saw Jack Michaels tweeting it out. So, this is what happens in a playoff run. Like, this is what happens when when things start to come together a little bit. All of a sudden, Kane is way more effective than probably people even hoped he might be this fast. And Frederick, his ankle is holding out, And Janmark, who didn't do anything all year, but we always said, oh, he's a playoff guy. Well, he is producing in the playoffs, just like you hoped he would, right? You bring in Klingberg for some help. Guys get hurt. Well, he is helping. It turned out to be a really good pickup. So, a lot of the tumblers are kind of falling in line for the Oil right now. And, if you can play long enough for Ekholm to come back, oh boy, now you really got something. But, there's always a little magic in these runs, Jay. The team you expect to win doesn't always win. Sometimes it's the team that just has the right things happen at the right time to the right people. And we're only through one round here. But I kind of see the tumblers falling into place a little bit for Edmonton so far.
Yeah, so far. Obviously, it's going to be a good test against Vegas. I can't wait. Should be fun. Dallas and Winnipeg, Spec, the Cinderella kids, both of them with massive third-period comebacks on Saturday and Sunday night. Which one impressed you more?
Oh, it had to be the Jets. I mean, it had to be the Jets. 2 goals with the goalie pulled. Ehlers passes that puck over to Kyle Connor. He one times it off the back foot. It's nowhere close to the net, but Perfetti's right there to tip it in. Like, oh my God. Now you said 3 seconds. I thought the clock said 1.6. They must have added some time on it, eh?
Yeah, it was not. It came in at 1957.
Okay. Anyway, it was unbelievable. I was watching every second of that game, and when they scored that empty netter and made it 3-2, I was like, well, I'm certainly not going to walk away from the TV. But St. Louis, I think St. Louis is going to feel sort of the way Quinn Byfield felt. He said he's going to take that clearing play, and he'll be thinking about it all summer. I think St. Louis had 3 or 4 decisions they made on icing the puck that they didn't have to ice the puck. And even one of those is going to eat up the requisite 5 extra seconds that probably the Jets don't get that shot on net. So there's a lot of guys in St. Louis are shaking their heads today, but man, what a hockey game that was. Holy, that was a great game.
Oh, both of them were awesome. Looking forward to it. Quickly, give me your thoughts. Toronto, Florida, Washington, and Carolina. Who do you like in those series?
Well, I never have a lot of faith in Carolina, even though they're such a good program. Like, I like their team. They're always good every year, but they can't get over the top. They don't have the goaltending. Freddie Anderson's hurt again. So I can't pick them. I'm picking Washington. I think that we almost let the Leafs off the hook, Jason, by saying, oh, Florida, they're experienced and they're big and they're good and they're hard to play against. And the Leafs have been around for 10 years knocking on the door. When are we going to say that about them? Right?
Yeah, fair.
When are we going to look at the Leafs and say, hey, they won the division. They're good. They got superstars. They're big, blah, blah. Why are we always making excuses for them to lose? So I have a hard time picking the Leafs, but I'm going to pick the Leafs because I'd like to see them.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to see them get something done out there. So yes, I'm going to take Winnipeg and I'm going to take the Oil in 6.
Winnipeg and the Oil in. You're taking the Jets?
Taking the Jets all day.
Holy, what all day? God, they're banged up. They don't have Scheifele, they don't have Morrissey. Oh, I love it. That's an emotional pick. It's got to be, which is totally fine. But Dallas is getting nice getting back. Like, I think that's.
When are they getting him back? Do we know?
For game 1.
Well,
yeah, they're pretty confident he's coming back for game 1. So that's a pretty big.
I got the Jets, baby, all the way.
Oh, well, 3 Canadian teams. Holy, hey, that's the first time in like 20 years. 3 Canadian teams. So Canada went from a 31% chance just based on representation to win the cup in the first round. Now it's up to 37% because there's 3 of 8 instead of 5 of 16. So, geez, Spec, if your predicts are right, they'll be guaranteed at least 1 Canadian team in the final because it's an Edmonton-Winnipeg conference final. And Toronto, oh my God, I don't know what your employer would do. It'd be going crazy. So it would be fun. I look forward to it. I have Washington, Florida, Dallas, and Edmonton. Moving on.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I got to admit, I wasn't picking Edmonton to beat Vegas when this thing started. They've really changed my mind in the first round. A few of the things that I didn't think Kane would be good. I totally thought Frederick was going to play 10 shifts and hurt himself again. I had no idea that Klingberg was going to be this good. So they've changed my mind. Like, they're not the team that we were looking at when that LA series started. They're a better team than that now, and good for them. Good for them. The moves they made and the guys they brought back, as it turns out, those guys are helping.
Oh, God, yeah. Helping in a big way. Spec, fly safe. We'll talk to you from Vegas tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good, Jay.
It's Mark Spectre, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. Coming up after 5 o'clock, Kevin Woodley. And as always, Woodley's got an unbelievable breakdown. You don't want to miss it on Adin Hill. We'll talk about the other ones, but of course, we'll go deep dive with Adin Hill after 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. $75 million tomorrow for Lotto Max. PlayAlberta.ca.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocenter.com. StAlbert.com today.
When St. Albert Dodge gets a deal, you get a deal. That's how it works. And right now, they've made a special purchase of new 2024 Ram Heavy Duty 2500 and 3500 model trucks. These are Cummins diesel models with an exclusive offer that you can only get at St. Albert Dodge. What's the deal? A no-charge Cummins engine option, which works out to $9,450 in savings for you. Over 35 available. Get yours now and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Hey, Dan, want to hit the bike trails this weekend?
Oh, I wish. My bike's completely messed up, though.
Looks like someone needs to go to St. Albert's Source for Sports. This spring, hit the trails and pass with confidence behind the handles of a new Specialized bike, because you're guaranteed to keep on riding at St. Albert's Source for Sports.
Ready now?
Sort of. Got the new bike.
Nice.
But I didn't think to buy a helmet.
St. Albert's Source for Sports, your bike headquarters for over 35 years.
Spring style and road-ready performance are more affordable than ever. Now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Lease or finance a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save up to $5,000. Lease a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 4.9% and save $3,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save $2,000. Get ready for the open road at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services, only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Legend has foretold of a smoothie so delicious and refreshing that it could quench the thirst of a fire-breathing dragon.
But it's also a great pick-me-up after a workout. The new Dragon Slayer smoothie from Booster Juice, a legendary blend of dragon fruit and mangoes, destined to be your next obsession. Try it today along with the new Dragon Booster Ball and the Pink Dragon Booster Mixer.
3 epic menu items to conquer your cravings. Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
The Bricks tent sale is on now. With so many items to clear out, they've had to set up tents in the parking lot. Save up to 60% off clearance items in the tent and store. With new specials every day and a bonus gift with furniture purchases over $999, these offers won't last long. Save up to 50% off select mattresses, up to 25% off of bedroom and dining furniture, and the more you buy, the more you save, up to an extra $1,000 off appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just about 4:45 on a lovely Mondays. You make your way almost out of the office. Pace yourself on the way home, and please, everybody, we know it's tinder dry outside. Don't throw your cigarette butts out. All right, don't start a fire somewhere. So, last thing we need is it's already dry enough. So, and sadly, no rain in the forecast anytime soon. So let's all be smart so we can all enjoy hopefully a smokeless summer. If it's dry, it's dry, but we don't want the smoke. Now let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. Man, you can get huge savings right now. Up to 60% off scratch and dent appliances. I bought one of these. Like, the scratch was so minimal, but I got 60% off. It's unreal. 60% off clearance furniture and 25% off bedroom and dining furniture right now at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Gregor, question number 1. We'll try to make it simple. For the Oilers to win this series, what is the biggest thing they need to accomplish?
Honestly, I think Edmonton, if we go top to bottom, I think they're more skilled than Vegas, but are they going to be as poised as Vegas? So to me, poise with the puck is the number 1 focus for a successful Oilers series.
Yeah, and along those lines, I'll just say, I'll word it differently. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Penalties, try to avoid them. You don't want to put yourself in those situations. And I know the PK got better as did the power play throughout the series, but Vegas has a lot of talent. The top end talent is there. So If you can play disciplined hockey, I think that goes a long way. No penalties for, I guess, in the offensive zone, over the boards, high staking things you can avoid them. Question number 2 for you. It was, I guess, a little bit of a discussion amongst the social media people out there. If it was your call, who would you start for the Oilers between the pipes in game 1?
No, Stewart's. I mean, Calvin Pickard. I'm starting Calvin Pickard. He's won 4 in a row. There's nothing in his game. And I know that, game 6 maybe wasn't a stellar game early, but he made some key saves and they won. I'm starting Calvin Pickard, but I also think at some point Stuart Skinner's going to play, but I'm starting Calvin Pickard. Not even a question in my mind for game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't really buy it yesterday with him in the starters net for Skinner. Like it just made no sense. Calvin Pickard won 4 straight games. Fatigue's not going to be a problem with the time off. Easy one there for me with a Calvin Pickard. Now, question 3 for you. We've got 4 second-round series. I think all of them will have a certain level of entertainment value. So, ranking 1 through 4, what are the series you're most intrigued by this year?
Well, Edmonton, Vegas, I think probably going to be the most competitive. Then I'm intrigued by the Toronto-Florida series. Is Florida going to run them out of the rink like a lot of people are expecting, or is Toronto finally going to show some pushback against a tougher opponent? After that, I would probably go 3rd would be Washington, Carolina, just because I think Winnipeg's too beat up now, and Dallas is getting Heiskanen back. I have that as the shortest series. Now, if Scheifele and Morrissey are both back, well, that changes it a bit, but I think this is going to be a real tough series for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go Florida, Toronto. I think, I don't know, I'm just hoping that one's going to be fun. I hope, the Panthers start running around and, we'll see if the Leaf Stars can respond. Oilers, Golden Knights will be 2. I'll say Stars and Jets is the 3rd one I'm looking forward to. I'll try to share Specs optimism. Glad another Canadian team could have got through and rooting for them, but the Stars getting healthy, that'll be tough. And then I'll put in the 4th spot, the Capitals and the Hurricanes. Question number 4 for you. With the players who struggled in the first round, who do you think has the best chance to redeem themselves in round 2?
Good question. Well, nobody struggled more than Hellebuyck. So I would say he's got the most room to improve. So it's hard for me to pick anybody else. Like I can't think of another, top player on a team that struggled that much in the first round. So that's why I guess I'll have to pick him.
Yeah, that's going to be such a cool storyline to follow. If they don't come back and get into that series, he's got a long off season, but now he's got that shot. I'll take the Leaf Superstars, and I know they showed up in the final game. Matthews at the power play goal, and Nylander had 2 with an empty netter, but every chance they get is an opportunity for those guys, Nylander, Marner, Matthews, to shed that label. So I think this is a big one for them against the Panthers, a chance to do that. Final question now for you. It is Cinco de Mayo. So if you're going to a Mexican restaurant today to celebrate, what would be the go-to order?
Well, I'm going to start just with some chips and guac. It's pretty simple. And, I'm obviously having a margarita, like just a classic lime margarita, right? Going with the chips and guac. And then, you know what? I just like kind of say, I like the fish tacos. So I'll go with some fish tacos, preferably the, like kind of a white fish, preferably for me. I don't really like, and not too battered. I don't like tons of batter on it. Be about it. I'm not overly, you know me, I don't like tons of spicy food. So that's probably my choice.
Probably safe.
Multiple margaritas.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, switch it up on the drink. Maybe go for a Bulldog. I've only really dabbled in those a couple times in my life. They were pretty good. Yeah, you got to have the chips. I'll go with the salsa instead. And I'll go away from tacos, but similar vein, quesadillas. I really got into those the last little while going out to restaurants. Love to dabble in those. Not sizzling like the fajitas by any means, but a nice quesadilla is pretty good.
Well, I love quesadillas.
Yeah.
As long as there's no onions.
Oh, gross. I do like onions.
Oh, yeah. No, you can have
more for me, right?
Yeah. No, that's, trust me. I get why people like onions. I can't get over it. So I'm too old now. I'm not going to change. I just, if the onions are ground up where I can barely see them, then it's no problem. But if I can see it, I'm not eating it.
Can you do, cilantro?
I don't love it. But Like, yeah, I've eaten it, but it's not like I don't go out of my way to be like, oh, can I have cilantro? But I don't despise it. Like, it's not like an onion for me. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I can do it if I have to. So,
Yeah, not me.
No.
The littlest cilantro will ruin a meal for me. Tastes like soap.
Yeah. Hey, guys, you think the Kings would hire Chiarelli? Sorry. I guess anything's possible, but here'd be my question as to why. Right? Honestly, why? Why would Peter Chiarelli get an opportunity now? What has he done lately? Like, when you look at what Ken Holland did in his tenure in Edmonton compared to Peter Chiarelli's, you'd be like, why? What were we doing? All Holland did was make the playoffs every year. Got him to conference finals, got to the third round 3 times in a row near the end, got all the way to Stanley Cup final. Chiarelli made the playoffs once. So, I don't know. With McDavid and Draisaitl. So, yeah, I don't see any reason why you would contemplate that, right? Like Darsh, there's lots of other assistant GMs I would look at that point. Hey, Chiarelli, give him credit. What he did in Boston, you can't take it away. That was very good. But since then, nope. And I think when you make it that, my concern about Peter Chiarelli is I don't think he's a great communicator. And if you can't communicate now in running a sports team, I think it's very difficult to have success. So I would be absolutely shocked. Quickly before we go, Cons, who's winning the draft lottery, which tonight is coming up live, first time ever where they're just going to have the balls coming out live. It's not going to be with the cue cards or anything like that. So who do you have winning the NHL draft lottery?
I'll take the Taylor Hall. No, not eligible. Give me the Nashville Predators.
Okay, so for anybody who don't, here's the odds for the teams who can win the draft lottery and win the number 1 pick. So Detroit, Columbus, Utah, Vancouver, and Calgary technically can win the lottery, but they won't win. They could win it and then move up. Like Calgary, the highest they could move up to is 4. Is Calgary 4th? I think it's Calgary's 5th or 6th, even the highest. You can only go up 10 spots, right? So there's only 11 teams who can get the number 1 pick. And of those 11, the Rangers have a 3% chance. The Islanders 3.5, Pittsburgh 5, Anaheim 6, Buffalo 6.5, Seattle 7.5, Boston 8.5, Philly 9.5, Connors Preds at 11.5, the Blackhawks 13.5, and the San Jose Sharks are at 25.5. Now, that's not that they win it, but they would retain it. Okay, 18.5% to win, but because Detroit, Columbus, Utah, Vancouver, and Calgary can't win it, then that increases San Jose's odds. Because if Detroit wins it, they could move all the way up to number 2, and then the Sharks just automatically stay at number 1. So I know San Jose's boring, but I don't mind your Nashville pick. I'm gonna go. The organization that needs it more than anyone is Seattle. But I'm gonna shock everyone. I'm gonna go for the dark horse here today. I'm gonna go Buffalo Sabres. And that's just pure for fun. I don't think they're gonna win, but that's what I'd like to see win. Just because. Because that might force them to change their management. Who knows? Who knows? Let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month continues now at GMC. Get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD model. See more at gmccanada.ca.
The Sports 1440 update.
Second round action of the Stanley Cup playoffs gets going tonight with the Maple Leafs hosting the Panthers out in Toronto. Puck drop just over an hour away in that one. Off the ice, the LA Kings and general manager Rob Blake mutually parting ways. That was confirmed by Luke Robitaille. The Nashville Predators saying that they're going to stick with head coach Andrew Burnett for next season. After a big offseason, the Preds finished 3rd last in the NHL with just 68 points. And Minnesota Wild goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury will play for Canada at the IIHF Men's World Championship. This will be Fleury's first time representing Canada at the World. He'll join his former Pittsburgh teammate, Sidney Crosby. In the association, 2 games tonight, just about to get going out in Boston as the Celtics and Knicks go at it, game 1 of their series. Then at 7:30, the Nuggets in OKC taking on the Thunder, game 1 there. Major League Baseball, you've got the Dodgers leading the Marlins 1-0 in the top of the second. Later tonight, Braves host the Reds, White Sox in KC, Cubbies taking on the Giants, got the Mets taking on the Diamondbacks, and the Athletics host the Mariners. And from the NFL today, the Ravens releasing kicker Justin Tucker. Tucker had been accused of inappropriate behavior by 16 massage therapists from 8 different Baltimore spas and wellness center. The team did draft Tyler Loop and insist that it is a football decision. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine, and we'll discuss the Florida Panthers with David Dwork from the Hockey News. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
The Bricks tent sale is on now. With so many items to clear out, they've had to set up tents in the parking lot. Save up to 60% off clearance items in the tent and store. With new specials every day and a bonus gift with furniture purchases over $999, these offers won't last long. Save up to 50% off select mattresses, up to 25% off of bedroom and dining furniture, and the more you buy, the more you save, up to an extra $1,000 off appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Been waiting for this since preseason. It's playoff time, and Sports 1440 is your home for all things hockey. Kevin, Lowtide, Jason, and the pre- and post-game shows with Andrew. So many reasons why we're Edmonton's sports leader.
Thursday, May 8th is McHappy Day, when every menu item purchased at McDonald's helps support families with sick children. So you can feel the good that comes from doing good, just from ordering.
So if I order a Big Mac, I'm helping.
Yep.
What about a McFlurry? 10-piece chicken McNuggets and apple pie?
You got it. Every single order helps. Join us at McDonald's for McHappy Day on Thursday, May 8th. Do good, feel good. A portion of food and beverage sales will support RMHC chapters and local children's charities across Canada.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the...
11. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, Facebook, Instagram.
Your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Connor Halley.
Not to get too
Declan Cougar running
but when it
things
comes
at
to financial services and insurance, Cooperators does just that. Like I'm definitely retiring early.
So what, 4:45 on a
That'll
lovely
treat
Monday
way
to
too
make your
unstable
way.
plan. Your future is personal. Your plans should be too. Cooperators, investing into your future together. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking for one-stop financial services? Give Camrose Insurance Financial Solutions a call at 780-672-9251 and see the difference a personalized plan makes. Cooperators, investing in your future together.
O'Hanlon Paving is looking for finished skid steer operators, finished grader operators, Class 1 drivers, and more to join their Edmonton road crew team. Bring your positive attitude and great work ethic to their job fair Friday, May 9th from 10 till 3. Visit o'hanlonpaving.com/careers.
Hey, Alberta. The all-new Play Alberta app is here. Casino, sports betting, lottery, all in one app, right on your phone. And because it's Play Alberta, you know it's safe, secure, and reliable. Download it now and play over 500 online casino games, live dealer tables, and unique games you'll love. Plus, bet on sports from anywhere in the province. You in? Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and deposit using promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on the house. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with the tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor. Sherbrooke is a house of curiosities, a mom and pop, a curated experience that is equal parts wine tastings and 2-4s for May long. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Hat-tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.504. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having a lovely Monday. We got lots happening. Hey, one of your favorite segments before every series, the Kevin Woodley scouting of the opposing goaltender. That's coming up in a few seconds here on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hey, Gregor, wasn't there a guest who came on before the LA series and said LA was different this year and would win the series 4-1? Yeah, there was. And hey, everybody's allowed to make a prediction, and everybody's allowed to be wrong. And our buddy Bernstein was incorrect that LA was different. Now, it looked good to start after the first two games. Oh, they were pretty confident. And by the way, I can show you, we got all the texts. I could screenshot the text of the show before game 3, how the Oilers were junk. They were never going to win this series. It was terrible building of the team. Even Oilers fans some of you had jumped off the cheering wagon after 2 games. But what's great about the playoffs, you scrambled back on. You were able to catch up to the train, and now you're on full steam ahead. And if the Oilers lose game 1, which sadly is like, if the Oilers lose game 1, is anybody going to be surprised? It's kind of what they do. So they've been able to come back in most of them, but they didn't come back against Vegas. Like, I just think the odds are you lose that many game 1s. It's not great. So ideally, they would love to win a game 1 this time in Vegas tomorrow night. They've had they've had a lot of success actually in Vegas, more there than in Edmonton. So see if they can get a win. Now let's get to our playoff report, brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers, as truck month continues at Alberta GMC. And guess what? Right now, how about financing for up to 72 months on a 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. Learn more at gmccanada.ca as Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com joins us once again. Woodley, my man, how you doing?
I'm good. Everybody in Edmonton back on the wagon?
Oh, yeah.
Wagon, that is.
Hey, yeah, why not, man? Hey, I get it. You get frustrated and away you go. But let's get to Adin Hill. And, you talked about Kemper in the last series and, attacking from behind the net. And it was like they kind of listened to you. And they scored a lot of goals from there. So where are the areas of weakness and how you should attack Adin Hill?
Well, first off, open looks, you kind of got to go after the glove. When I did the charting, high glove during the regular season was 24 goals, high blocker 15. First round of the playoffs, high glove 4. Predominant area to score on him. And when I look at, dig into the numbers a little bit and look at save percentage, like high glove save percentage this year. And listen, this doesn't fully factor in, the types of chances, because quite often that's where teams go. When they move a goalie east-west, they know when a goalie slides or moves laterally, they tend to lower their gloves, so they shoot there. But save percentage on the high glove was 768. Expected goal differential there was significantly below expected. So open looks and lateral plays, that's where you go. The other thing is, I think the other direction in terms of looking for rebounds, there were 21 goals where rebounds were the primary factor on Adin Hill, which is almost double. And this is out of the last 100 goals. So we just chart 100 goals to sort of give us a taste of, it gives you a percentage as well. And so 21 of the 100, so 21%, which is almost double the average around the league, scored off rebounds and predominantly on the blocker side. When we look at the goal chart, quite often when we see numbers outside of the goalie skate, like goalies aren't getting beat along the ice. They're typically representative of plays where you lose your net a little bit, or where backdoor tap-ins, things like that, where goalie gets stretched out wide. And they're more than double on the right side than the left. and a lot of that was the rebound. So getting him moving, whether that's attacking down low, bottom of the circles, or as you mentioned with the Darcy Kemper example, even from below the goal line, like walkouts, attacking from left to right, so from his glove over to his blocker side. That's the way to generate offense off second chances for him, and that was a significant way that teams scored against him this year. I talked about the glove. He tends to hold sort of elbow at the hip, holds the glove down around his hip. I think that lower glove position is part of what makes that vulnerable. And then, on the East-West plays, obviously East-West plays are a way to score on goaltenders around the National Hockey League. This is what Clearsight Analytics was founded on, that concept of slot line plays. They used to call them Royal Roads, but anything between the top of the circles and the goal line where you can move the puck from one side to the other is going to increase your odds of scoring on any goalie. Now, interestingly enough, for a lot of them, that is increased below the hash marks. Low slot line plays is predominantly where offense has increased in the last 5 years. But Aiden excels on those because he's got that reach, he's got those long legs, and he plays somewhat conservatively in zone. So it's short pass for him east to west, and he's got that really wide butterfly flare. He gets there. He's going to get there along the ice and usually build a little bit of vertical coverage above it. But when it's off the rush, Jason, he tends to come out and retreat. Like he's no longer an inside-out goaltender off the rush. He comes out and flows backwards. So high lateral passes off the rush. Make that play higher in the zone and don't be afraid to one time from distance as high out as the top of the circles, because inevitably, if you start out taking ice and retreating, the earlier that pass is entering the zone, the further he has to go. And if you wait till it gets in tight, he shortened his path, and that's sort of how he plays, on in-zone play. It just makes it that much easier for him. And last one, buddy, is low-high scrambles. So pucks below the goal line, and the Oilers are excellent at generating pop passes from below the goal line up into the zone. That's where you can get him into broken play scramble situations. He has a tendency to reach and lunge in those, again, more to the right than to the left. And there'll be a lot of loose change where if you can win battles in those areas, and it's not easy against the Vegas defense, attack down low from the goal line, pop passes, and try and win those battles to the front of the net. Guys, like Zach Hyman should have success in that area.
Outstanding. Now they've had 4 games on Calvin Pickard, Kevin. And I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot here or not, but do you think they look at Pickard now? Because, this is a guy who doesn't play that much. And now it is 4 in a row. And so maybe, I don't know if teams see more tendencies because a guy's playing 4 consecutive games rather than playing, 4 games in a month. Sometimes when you're a backup, right? Where you get to play once a week. Do you think it alters at all the scouting report for Vegas?
I don't think it changes. It's probably being paid attention to more, right? Like there's more than enough footage out there for teams to figure out how Calvin Pickard plays. I just don't know. Up until this point, there's never been a need to break it down to this degree. And sometimes it takes a little bit. Like we've seen, I remember the Oilers against Florida in the Cup final. Like the book is written on Bob. And early in that series, it was like they weren't reading from it. They weren't paying attention. They were making plays and scoring decisions as shooters that fed into his strength rather than against them. And I think, my understanding, it was kind of maddening to do that pre-scout and then have them basically ignore it and then wonder why Bob is standing on his head. So whether Vegas pays attention to it or not, they'll be able to build a good pre-scout. He's played enough games. At the end of the day, though, one of the things that made Calvin special in the first round was his results against high danger chances, some of the best in the entire league. We talked again earlier, the first 2 games, Stuart Skinner, 9 goals on 19 high danger chances. And then in the next 3 games, Pickard was three goals on 19 high danger chances. He finishes the first round with 6 goals on 30 high danger chances. Obviously, in that decisive game, the elimination game for LA, they got 11 and scored 3. So, interesting, the first time since he came into the net that the Oilers kind of loosened up in front of him, and the other team got 3 out of 11 high danger chances. So clearly they need to keep that down. Obviously the desperation of the Kings generated some of it, but as much as it dragged his numbers down, they're still near the top of the league among playoff goalies. Only Jacob Markstrom and Freddie Anderson have better results on high danger chances. Now the question is, do you look at that in the small sample and say, well, let's try and beat him other ways? Or do you look at that and look at his entire year, which is probably what they'll do, and say that, hey, his results on these types of high danger chances are actually below expected on the year, and this is a heater. At the end of the day, good offense is good offense, and I think teams, in general, will try and just create good offense. But there are specific things that apply to Pickard as well, and one of them on a year-long sample is screens and sight lines. In the regular season, more than a quarter of the 85 goals he gave up involved the screen. And the Kings actually, interestingly enough, had 4 goals on just 16 chances off screen. So he handled all the high danger stuff, but traffic, he's not the biggest goaltender. I thought the Kings could have done more of that and maybe had more success. Curious to see, because Vegas's defensemen are very good at getting pucks through traffic. Whether they try and generate, high danger chances, or whether they settle for bodies and pucks to the net on Calvin Pickard, because historically speaking, when you break down his game, it's one of the ones that jumps out as a relative weakness. And again, I always hate using the word weakness, because these guys are the best in the world if they're in the National Hockey League. I use the word relative weakness. So compared to other things, what's he better at? What's he not as good at? And screens traditionally have been an area where he's struggled.
NHL.com joins us. Kev, we go back to Adin Hill, and you talk about kind of his weaknesses and stuff. If you look at his saves above expected, he was in the minus, just below Pickard in the first round. They didn't get it. Winnipeg. Vegas didn't give up a ton of chances, though. Now, did they not give up a ton of overall chances, but gave up a ton of A chances? Because I know that at Clear Sight they have A, B, and C are high, mid, and low, whatever we want to call it. Out of their 120 chances, were there way more highs? Or obviously I know the most was low. I get that. But did they give up a ton of high ones for him? How was their overall game in front of him in round 1?
Yeah, it's a good question. 120 chances. I got 38 high. So, Darcy Kemper saw 53. Just a quick filter here. Nothing like doing live sorting on air here, Jason. But that would rank for Adin Hill 7th in the National Hockey League in terms of the number of high danger chances that he faced. So Kemper was the most. Obviously, the Oilers generated a lot. 7 games for the Dallas-Colorado series, so not surprised to see Jake Ottinger up there. Jordan Binnington, 50 high danger chances faced. Jacob Markstrom was under fire, 46. So, and Hellebuyck in 7 games, just 40. So, I mean, 38's not a huge number, but relative as a percentage. At the end of the day, he underperformed. High danger, he was 14 goals on 38 chances, Adin Hill, in the first round on high danger. That's where he struggled the most. That's where most of his negative numbers came in. Okay. They, overall as a team, they're typically better defensively than that, to even be mid-pack there. But again, obviously everybody tries to limit it, but saying it and doing it, I think that Kaprizov and Boldy on their own generated a ton of it for the Wild against Vegas in the first round. And obviously, when you're dealing with McDavid and Draisaitl, and Evan Bouchard and all the offensive talent that's on that Oilers team, and I know they're not as top heavy and that they're getting contributions throughout the lineup, but at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do. And we saw that with the Kings, even though they were a looser defensive team on the season as a whole. Darcy Kemper in just 6 games has more high danger chances against than anyone. And that's again, they're supposed to be a defense first team, and doing it against those players is like I said, easier said than done for anyone.
Yeah. And, I think Edmonton's going to rely on that. And, the big news for Edmonton was that in games 5 and 6, McDavid and Draisaitl and Perry, their top line, didn't score a goal 5-on-5. They had an empty net goal where they assisted on for McDavid and Draisaitl, and then they had another late one as well in game 6. So
I want to say one more thing too, just on Adin Hill, because when I started looking, and it's hard to kind of do the math, Jason, on what's 120 chances and 38. Okay, a third, almost a third of the chances he saw were high danger. And I think where you want to see that, the easiest way to say how tough was his environment, rather than sorting that way, is just quickly toggle over to expected save percentage, right? And that was pretty low. Adin Hill's was 881. We talked a lot about Stuart Skinner being 872. Calvin Pickard was 914 going into game 6, comes out of it at 902, so 30 points easier environment than Stuart Skinner, while 20 points higher than Aiden Hill. So I think Aiden Hill at an 881 expected, which is 13 points below the league average for the first round of the playoffs. To me, that's a sign that they, whether it's a percentage of or whatever, they're giving up more dangerous chances than you would expect the Vegas Golden Knights to do. And that's a good sign for the Oilers, because as much as Kaprizov and Boldy were great in the first round, it's still not McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And I thought Vegas, for a team, as good as defensively as they are, I don't think they were as good as defensively as they would like to be in that first round.
And basically the bottom 2 guys for expected save percentage in the first round of the playoffs were Stuart Skinner at 872, and next on the list was Aiden Hill at 881. So those guys, at least from the guys that actually started games versus relief appearances, the fact that those guys had the hardest environments in the first round, I agree with you. Not what we expect out of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah. So, and basically Hill had the lowest of any goalie who played 3 games or more. So he kind of had the worst environment.
Yes, he did. Yeah, Skinner's was worse, but like you said, only 2 starts, and everybody else who is below that was, like I said, relief appearances for guys that got in just for half a game and got some tough looks.
This just in, the New York Islanders went from 10th to 1st. They just won the draft lottery. Oh, wow! And Lou Lamoriello is out, so the new GM will get to pick number 1. So the Islanders with the number 1 selection. That's just coming down right now, watching the NHL draft. So there you go. I'm pretty confident they're not going to take a goalie. Now, Kev, I'm looking at Hellebuyck's numbers and watching his game. Like, he's been getting beat on clear looks way too often. Why?
Well, there's a couple things there. One, interestingly enough, I've only got 2 clear-sighted goals against him so far in the playoffs. I think there are times, some of those probably get classified as broken plays. I think there's a few in there where if you really break it down, it hits something, stick off the release, things like that. I'd be curious to see, I don't have it in front of me, whether last night's second goal is a clear-sighted, or if it looked like it went off the heel of the skate, the rush goal. And I think that, and so, I do believe it didn't go down as a clear-sighted. So I think that's a broken play. And the reason those are so tough for him is because he's such a read-based goaltender and so much on patience. And I know people hate to hear this, and they like, if a puck deflects off a skate a foot in front of the release or 2 feet in front of the release, like it hits the defenseman's stick or skate, they're like, that's still 40 feet out to the top of the circle. You should be able to react to that. And what I would counter with, and I thought Mike McKenna did a really good job of sort of explaining this on social media last night, and it reflects what I understand of how NHL goalies read and anticipate releases, is the reality is you have to start moving before that puck is off the stick. Even if you're Connor Halley, whose patience, if you really were to break down video, like he's not even halfway to the ice and the puck's halfway to him a lot of the time. Like his patience off releases is part of what makes him special. But if you don't start moving, like if you aren't anticipating where it's going before it leaves the stick blade, you're already too late in the National Hockey League. And I've had goalies explain this to me right back to Ryan Miller. Like you have to start moving. If you don't have that level of anticipation to be able to read off the stick angle, off the hips, off the hands, all those things, and every goalie's to varying degrees, but if you don't have the ability to read those things, you're not in the National Hockey League. And so if you don't start reacting before it's off the blade, so if you start moving one way and it gets deflected the other, so it looks worse. Now, this is not me. Like, listen, out of all the numbers that we've talked about, like Hellebuyck's our last. He is dead last in the National Hockey League after the first round of the playoffs. Expected goals against, expected save percentage. Is his environment tougher than it was during the regular season? Yeah, by 12 points. Still above NHL average, but he had one of the easiest ones in the regular season, right? Yeah. So that's part of it, Jason. Now, clearly, clearly his confidence in his game has diminished as the first round went on. Now, I would point to 2 things. He gave up 25 goals in the first round. 13 were on broken plays and screens. So what is the best goalie in the world at reading the game? What do you do to beat him? And man, we talk about the books getting written in the playoffs, the sort of book on goalies. Nobody's got more chapters and verse than him in the last little while. And it is about taking away his eyes and creating chaos. Because for all the results he's had in the National Hockey League, what makes them most remarkable is that he's done it with, frankly, physical limitations. Like, other than size, like, he doesn't have, we talk about Skinner and the narrow butterfly. Connor Hellebuyck has a narrow butterfly. Like, when he drops to the ice, his feet are behind him. The same things that, the same delays and limitations in lateral movement on scramble plays in front that Skinner has to manage, Connor Hellebuyck has to manage. And so if it's like a hitter that struggles with the curveball, nobody's throwing him the fastball. And so these teams are going after his biggest relative weaknesses. Now, that said, he outperformed them in the regular season. He was better than expected on screens. He was better than expected on broken plays, but not to the same degree he is on other types of chances. And I think that the way teams go after it is so deliberate in the postseason. And frankly, as much as he needs to be better, I don't think they managed it very well as a team. Like, we talk about screens and picking a lane, and the goalie's supposed to have one lane and you're supposed to be in the other. Like, the Brandon Tanev example that got called out on Hockey Night in Canada. So I use that one because a lot of people might remember seeing it because the crew in the intermission went after it because he got out there and he didn't block the shot. Well, I took it one step further. You can break it down. Not only does he get out there and not block the shot, but he doesn't go out there in the right lane. All he does, he goes out in the short side lane rather than the middle lane. So he takes away Hellebuck's eyes as he's going and creates a layered screen out of what should have been a simple net front screen and turns a 15% chance into a 40% chance. So I saw too much of that. I saw too much of the battles in front of the net being lost by Winnipeg defensemen, being hard on sticks and things like that weren't happening. And I also think as it went on, and this is why you get these broken plays and deflected goals, I saw their gap control get worse. I saw their game disintegrate a little bit, and I saw their confidence in their goaltender. So instead of just letting him do his job, they felt like they needed to help him. So they put sticks in lanes. They got in the way, and I think they thought they were doing the things they were supposed to, and a lot of the times they were just taking clear sight away from him, and that's when he's at his best, and that all snowballed in the wrong direction, including his performance. So good at reads, there were a couple of times where he got caught moving the wrong way, anticipating what was going to happen before it happened. That fine line of the difference between anticipation and cheating, and he got caught on the wrong side of it more times than I'm used to seeing in those 7 games.
Okay. Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine, NHL.com, joins us. Kev, quickly to one other series I want to get to is the Florida and Toronto series. What do you buy about a team that they had the goalie beforehand? Is there any advantage there to them on scouting? When you look at from a Florida perspective, you've got them going up against their former goalie. Who do you like in that series? And is there a scouting report for either Toronto to light up Bobrovsky, or what do you think Florida has to do?
Well, I mean, if you don't know the book on Bob by now, like, you haven't been paying attention, right? Like 2 straight trips to the Cup final, and again, his game has been picked apart as much as anyone. I do think there can be an extra advantage to going up against a goaltender that you've had in your system, because your goalie coach has had those discussions. They know where relative strengths or weaknesses. They know what plays that goalie is most and least comfortable managing. It's beyond just, I think, the degree to which a goalie coach looks at it. And I had one reach out this year that had done 600 goals on one guy. And you can get to a point where are you seeing the forest for the trees? You're digging so deep on it, you're finding every detail, and you have to be able to relay that to the players in a way that's simplified and they can execute on. So you can get carried away with this. I think that when you know the guy, you've had these conversations in the video room with him about how he, you talk about short side, far side, how he manages certain plays, how he likes things in front of him from his defense, and what he struggles with, little areas that you've gone over and maybe reviewed with him to try and fix. So over the course of the season he was there, some he may have, some he may struggle with, like skate on post in a gap that, in the right moment can be an inch and a half you find from below the goal line that nobody else would look for. There are definitely advantages. And interestingly enough, because Anthony Stolarz is getting a lot of praise and he got the Leafs through the first round of the playoffs, but the numbers are underwater a little bit after the first round. He had a 919 expected. That team defended so well. And I thought Ottawa didn't do a very good job of creating the types of dangerous chances that even an average pre-scout would have on it. So the challenge is going to be much different against Florida, a team that knows his game and is so good at disrupting other teams' strengths. The one thing I would say is that they don't attack off the rush. They dump and they cycle. And Stolarz, for the most part, is really good on in-zone play because that's where his positioning is the most consistent and he can just use his size. But I'm expecting a much tougher test for him because they know him so well and because Ottawa just did so little to sort of challenge him with the way they created offense. It's going to be really interesting to see how he holds up and whether more of those types of chances start to show up in the raw numbers. Because right now, I think his performance is a little bit hidden until you get into some of these clear sight numbers, and you can see that relative to, frankly, what was by the math and the video, the easiest environment in the first round, he actually underperformed it by a margin we're not used to seeing from him.
Yeah. Kev, as always, buddy, great stuff. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you next Monday, or maybe even a little bit earlier for a pregame scout, maybe on Friday, seeing how the first two games go.
Yeah, we'll see. And always happy to come on and talk play. It's the best time of the year and the worst time of year for goalies because my union's getting picked apart here, Jason. Unfortunately, I'm contributing to it a little bit, but I do love watching it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
You too.
There you go. That is Kevin Woodley from InGoalMag.com. We got to take a break, but then we got to update you on the draft lottery. As I'm watching this, why didn't they do this many years ago? I have to say, this is a way better format than just turning over the cue cards. Honestly, I think it's fantastic. We'll update that when we return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Experience Edmonton Stingers Pro Basketball. Join the Stingers at their home opener Sunday, May 11th at 4 p.m. It's the most affordable, family-friendly, fun sports experience in the city. Tickets start at just $20. thestingers.ca.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
Your cooperator's advisor can help your business do what you want it to. Like we have 2, actually 3, make that 4 locations plan. Talk to a local advisor today about small business insurance that sees your needs as anything but small.
Looking for a local cooperator's advisor? Give Camrose Insurance Financial Solutions a call at 780-672-9251 and see the difference a personalized plan makes. Cooperators, investing in your future together.
O'Hanlon Paving is looking for finished skid steer operators, finished grader operators, Class 1 drivers, and more to join their Edmonton road crew team. Bring your positive attitude and great work ethic to their job fair, Friday, May 9th from 10 till 3. Visit o'hanlonpaving.com/careers.
Hi there, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and like most actors, I have a list of things that I like to have on set. It's called a rider. It's just little things like wind chimes being blown by an easterly breeze, a 7-year-old calico cat to crow on my lap, and of course 2 freshly cracked eggs scrambled with crispy hash brown, sausage crumble, and creamy chipotle sauce from Tim Hortons. It smells amazing. Now where did I put that hand-carved wooden spoon? From my rider to Tim's menu, try my new scrambled eggs loaded breakfast box.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.532. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. So the great rundown there by Woodley, by the way. So And there's always ways to beat goalies, just like there is on the order goaltenders, just like there is on some of the best goalies in the league. Now, that's the strategy. Doesn't mean you get to do it all the time. But what's so unique about the playoffs, it's so very different than the regular season, is now you really zone in and you focus on one team and maybe one position on the opposition. And I think you can, if you get the matchup you like, man, it's a big advantage for your team. It just is. So let's get to talking more hockey as we go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. Take action on your savings right now. Of course, Action, huge sponsor of the show. And this month, they're giving away a $15,000 solar package. Every day at 4 o'clock, we qualify someone to win. So be sure to tune in, courtesy of Action Electrical. David Dwork joins us from the Hockey News, a beat reporter for the Florida Panthers. They are in Toronto tonight to take on the Maple Leafs in Game 1 of that division series. And David, welcome back to the show. And 5 games looks easy at times because it's so short. But, man, Florida they were really full marks for that win over Tampa Bay. And nothing's easy, but, man, they sure controlled that series maybe more than I expected.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people were surprised by the Panthers just based off of, the series picks going across the board. And I think a lot of it just had to do with the way that they were going into the playoffs over the last month or so. Paul Maurice wasn't trying to be secretive about the fact that he was resting a lot of guys, but I think people just looked at the fact that they were kind of a 500 team and maybe took them a little lightly. The Tampa scared the crap out of me, just as somebody that was watching the Panthers all year. They were so much better, I think, than last year, deeper. While they did, they got rid of Stamkos, but they brought in Gensel was great. Hagel had an amazing year for them. And obviously Kucherov, won the Art Ross, and he's going to be on a lot of Hart Trophy ballots. Just a scary team. But it was cool to see the Panthers. The way that I like to talk about this series is Paul Maurice kind of put the words in my mouth when he said, the first year they played Boston, it was a physical series. The second year they played Boston, it was a nasty series. And that's what happened with Tampa over the last 2 years. Last year, it was more tight checking, 1-goal games. This year, it was, no holds barred. Kind of everybody was going at it. It was fun from a fan perspective to watch. But I think it kind of opened a bit of eyes that the Panthers are still very much a real team in the Eastern Conference to contend. Because as you said, 5 games against that Tampa squad was surprising.
So now you move ahead and you take on Toronto, and very different team than Tampa Bay. They don't have the playoff success of Tampa Bay. They definitely maybe have the more experience in losing than Tampa Bay does. Toronto, it's kind of the same old to me. Now they've improved their defense. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who was a huge part of that Florida team last year. They got in Tanev. How do you see this as far as, what's the biggest challenge that Florida sees in Toronto?
I think Toronto, it's their ceiling, right? They've got so much high-end talent on the top end of their roster. And if they all, reach their capabilities, then that can be scary for anybody. I think the problem for Toronto, their main problem has been that those guys don't seem to do that when it matters most. Now, they are the 4 leading point scorers for Toronto at this point of the playoffs. You would expect that. But Beyond that, they've only got 1 forward that has more than 2 points. Whereas I believe Florida has 9 forwards that have 3 or more points. And it's a smaller sample size. I get that. But when it comes to the playoffs and when it comes to the depth, that was a big reason why Florida was able to be so strong last year. They had such a deeper squad than they went in 23 when they lost to Vegas in the final. And this year, they've only added to that now. So I think Toronto, it's going to be a challenge for Toronto. I don't know if they're used to facing this much of a physical team. I know it hindered them a lot in 23, and that wasn't really very different teams on both sides now. So to see Florida being able to really get into what they do well, they brought in, whether it's Seth Jones, whether it's Brad Marchand, or even a Nico Sturm that has really solidified their penalty kill, which was a big reason why they got through Tampa the way they did. They're just set right now. And Toronto's going to have to come across with 4 lines, 6 guys deep on defense. And, they're really going to have to show it on, after that series in Ottawa. I don't know if there's a lot of confidence there just because they probably should have had a better time with the Senators than they did. And, that takes us to tonight.
You look at Brad Marchand since coming over. How's he fit in?
Well, in the room, they love him. It's been seamless as it is with pretty much anybody that they brought in the Bill Zito era. They put an emphasis on the good character guys, but they're so familiar with Marchand, whether it's, on a bigger level, just being hockey players, or the fact that Florida and Boston, they played each other so tightly over the last few years. They knew what each other was all about. And, it's no secret that Marchand wanted to come to Florida. He knew what he was going to be getting into in the Panthers room. And then when it comes to on the ice, I talk about Sam Bennett as a guy who personifies the kind of hockey that Florida wants to play, but Brad Marchand's right there with him. A speedy, gritty, somebody that's obviously not afraid to get into the physical areas. He's more than happy to play on a PK and a defensive style. It's been a great fit, and I think more so in that first round series where he played with the same line the entire time. He played on Anton Lundell's line the entire series, and they got better every game. They were more noticeable, especially in the offensive zone, because they're going to be solid defensively with that trio. But the way that their offensive capabilities just continue to grow and grow, it's really cool just watching a guy with that much hockey IQ helping the younger guys and watching them flourish together.
David Dwork joins us, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. David, the Panthers are physical. They're aggressive. We've seen a Paul Maurice guy just hit everybody that moves, obviously in a little bit more colorful language than I'm using right now. And it's obviously very successful, but is there anything that you've seen? And we saw in Edmonton, and Edmonton obviously pushed them to the brink in Game 7 last year. But when Florida is in trouble, like, is there one area of weakness that Paul Maurice and them have talked to, but maybe they get themselves in trouble? Is it over aggressiveness? What is it?
It's when they get out. It's when they let the other team dictate the style of play. When they start to play more of a rush game. When the gaps get a little less tight because guys are looking, their eyes are up the ice instead of on their teammates back play. It's like it's when they stop playing Panthers hockey. And I know that sounds really contrite and silly, but that's what happens when they're doing what Paul Maurice wants them to do. When they're tight gapped, when they're aggressively forechecking. When they're holding teams to 20 shots or less, like that's what they want to do. But when they get out of that game, and we saw it more towards the end of the season when like Aaron Ekblad was out, Gus Forsling sat out for a little bit when they basically weren't themselves a little bit. That's the biggest issue. I think just stretching the game, what Edmonton really did to them in the second half of the final last year, like they got their speed was so intense, and Florida they really looked like the head and the eyes in the headlights there for a second. I totally lost the phrase, but but no, that's the biggest thing. And with Toronto, with a team that has that kind of high end skill that they can play that rush game very well. If they can get into that and get behind Florida's forwards and really push their defensemen back and open up that gap, I think that would be the key for Toronto.
How's Tkachuk looked overall after coming back from not playing since Four Nations?
Well, he certainly was productive. Like a point per game in the series. I think he scored 3 goals. He's about 5 minutes less, Jason, than his regular season average. And I do think that they're shielding him a little bit. I'm going to be watching that. Obviously, I think a lot of this will be to see if it starts to go up, if that's maybe something that they're just kind of ramp him up a little bit, or if that's going to be kind of the level that they want to keep him at. Because you remember what happened in Four Nations. He got hurt. He tried to come back and he played a handful of shifts. And obviously the Panthers don't want anything like that. Clearly he's in a good place, good enough that he just got through 5 games of a very tough series with Tampa. But again, he did so playing 12 minutes a game or whatever it was, 13 minutes a game. His regular season average was well over 18. He's going to play all the power play minutes, obviously, but whether they're shielding him moving forward is certainly going to be something to keep an eye on. He looks fine. Maybe not quite as, I don't want to say speedy because he's not a fast guy, but maybe not quite on the balls of his feet as much as usual, but certainly playing that physical game and not having any issues around the net. But it will be something to keep an eye on for sure.
Well, I looked at it in the clinching game, which was a 1-goal game for 53 minutes of that game. He only played 10 minutes, right? That's like he had played 16 and 16 in the games prior, and okay, he's coming back, but then boom, he went back down to 10, and that's why I just wondered if they're just being ultra cautious, or is there a little bit of a tweak in there? Because for Tkachuk to play 10 minutes or even 11 minutes a game, like in a blowout, I get it. But, it's a potential clinching game, and he's playing 10 minutes.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't that surprising in the moment to see them just throwing Barkov and Lundell over and over and over again, just because, like you said, it was one of the few tight games late. But, it's with Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, his style of play is so unique, like Palmer or Bill Zito likes to call him a unicorn. So he's got to be at a certain level to be productive. And if that means playing less minutes to keep his body right, you got to do what you got to do. It's the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, Dave, enjoy the series, man. It should be a hell of a one. Obviously, lots of eyes on as can Toronto get to the third round for the first time in a long time. Appreciate it so much. Enjoy the series. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jason. Good to see you.
There you go. There's it's David Dwork joining us from Florida. Lots of text line in 833-401-1440. We'll get to the draft law. I love that formula. I thought it was fantastic. You could see it unfold. The Islanders win. Everyone's going crazy, but then you're not like, well, now who's got the second pick? I quite liked it. And so if you just missed it, the Islanders moved up from 10th to 1st. 3.5% chance. Boom. Nailed it. Then you have the second draft lottery. Guess who wins it? Utah. Arizona's like, what? They move and now they can win a lottery? They never had any lottery. So they move, but they can only move up 10 spots. So they move from 14 to 4, which then slots San Jose down from 1 to 2, and Chicago goes from 2 to 3. So teams like Boston, Philly, they drop 2 spots, right? Buffalo, Anaheim, lots of teams, Pittsburgh. Anybody who was picking from Nashville from 4 through until 9, they all dropped 2 spots in the lottery. So there you go. Tankathon, is there such a thing? Could you imagine, though, if this was next year when it's Gavin McKinnon, there's a lot more hype around it, and you would have a team in 10th place win the lottery? I'll tell. Now, if you bank on odds, usually you're not going to have 2 real big surprises 2 years in a row. So that might encourage teams to tank even more. We'll see. We'll get your thoughts on that and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
The Bricks tent sale is on now. With so many items to clear out, they've had to set up tents in the parking lot. Save up to 60% off clearance items in the tent and store. With new specials every day and a bonus gift with furniture purchases over $9.99, these offers won't last long. Save up to 50% off select mattresses, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, and the more you buy, the more you save. Up to an extra $1,000 off appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a turbomax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features, including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Outstanding.
O'Hanlon Paving is looking for finished skid steer operators, finished grader operators, Class 1 drivers, and more to join their Edmonton road crew team. Bring your positive attitude and great work ethic to their job fair, Friday, May 9th from 10 till 3. Visit o'hanlonpaving.com/careers.
Sometimes when you're back, right?
Want to hit the bike trails this weekend?
Do you think it alters at all the scouting report for Vegas?
Looks like someone needs to go to St. Albert's Source for Sports. This spring, hit the trails.
Do you think it alters at all the scouting report for
behind
Vegas?
the handles of a new specialized bike, because you're guaranteed to keep on riding at St. Albert's Source for Sports.
Ready now?
Sort of. Got the new bike.
Nice.
But I didn't think to buy a helmet.
St. Albert's Source for Sports, your bike headquarters for over 35 years.
When we walk together. Lace up your sneakers for IG Wealth Management Walk for Alzheimer's Edmonton. Join us at Laurier Park Sunday, May 25th for a day of community, compassion, and hope as we come together to support over 50,000 Albertans living with dementia. Gather your friends, family, and coworkers and help make a difference, one step at a time. When we walk together. For more info, find details at sports1440.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Frank Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
Hat-tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
5:47. Let's get to the 2-minute warning now, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with the no payments, no interest for 1 year in your AC unit. Stay cool all summer because it's probably going to be hot at legacyheating.ca. Here is Cam Tate.
An open letter to Stuart Skinner. Dear Stu, so maybe this morning at practice didn't quite feel like a dream. You skated out, took a look, and there was Calvin Pickard. standing in your crease. Your crease. Not exactly the kind of Mother's Day surprise a goalie dreams about, huh? Coach Chris Knoblock says he'll decide tomorrow who starts, but I get it. Your stomach probably started doing little backflips. Of course you want the net. Of course you do. You're a competitor. That's what got you here. And yet, maybe right now it feels like you're not quite part of it. But here's the twist, Stu. You are. More than you know. It's playoff time. Nobody gets through this without leaning on each other like that one buddy. You know the one, right? The guy at the wedding who's had 4 too many. Everyone pulls on the rope a little harder. The stakes are higher. The hair is longer. The beards are scruffier. And yes, sitting on the bench with your ball cap on might not seem heroic, but you've got the hardest job in the house. Be ready for the unpredictable. Be ready to face a slap shot 14 seconds after finishing a water bottle and scratching your ankle. It's weird, but it's true. You can't prepare for the moment you'll need to be prepared for, but the Oilers need you to be just that, ready, and I know you are. Look, if it were you in the crease and Picks on the bench, I'd be saying the exact same thing to him, minus the mustache jokes maybe, because I believe in the guys who don't dress, the ones who sit in the press box and try not to eat too many M&Ms from the media snack bin. They matter, you all do. So tomorrow when Coach Chris makes the call, whatever it is, embrace it, cheer harder, stay ready, be the guy this team can count on, starter or not, because great teams are built on great teammates. And Stu, you're one of them. Your pal Cam 2-minute warning with Tater, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Gregor Show.
Well, you know what? Hey, I think Stuart Skinner, he'll be ready when his opportunity comes in, and then he's got to take advantage of it, right? Using multiple goalies to win, we've seen other teams do it. I don't think it's a big deal. Ultimately, it's kind of like the D pairs, right? I outlined the D pairs at practice. They have Nurse and Bouchard. They had Klingberg and Wallman and Kulak and Emberson. Well, that's not what happens in a game. We know that. So don't fret about it. Bouchard last game played 843 with Wallman, played 501 with Nurse, 452 with Kulak. They switch it up. So I wouldn't get too worried about it. So that's how it's going to game, right? They rotate it around. It's different pairs. It's what you see in practice. And now, why do they practice? Because they don't really have a set pair in the game, right? There's somebody's got to be the pairs in practice, so that's what they do. They don't switch them up because they're not doing a ton of D drills. And guess what? They practice with them all the time together and then play separately, and they've won 4 in a row. So they're going to keep it that way. I don't see it. I don't see it really becoming much of an issue. Maybe it's superstition. Who knows? 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, does Woodley know if there's a goalie we can take first overall this year? DiPietro nightmares. Signed Jeff, the jaded Isles fan. P.S. We're still paying him for another 4 seasons. DiPietro, that is. Jeff, I totally forgot there were still 4 more years on that deal. That is unreal. But good news, like I said, good news. There's no goalie that they are going to take first overall. Because not only did they take didn't they trade Luongo to take DiPietro? Right? Didn't they do that? I'm almost certain they did. So, or they traded Luongo, one of the two. It was no, I think they traded Luongo after drafting him. That is a wild thing. Hey, Greg's, any Ekholm update? Yes. He will not be playing in the second round. Book it, 100% guaranteed not playing. Now, if the Oilers win the series, get to the third round, I've always said, and I still believe that mid to late third round is probably best case scenario. And, maybe they're still not 100% for sure that he's coming back. But I'd say best case scenario is mid to late of the third round. And then obviously there's, possibility he gets in the Stanley Cup final if they make it that far. So that's kind of where you have to go. Yeah, Greg, you're right. Luongo and Olli Jokinen. Oof, that was a tough one. Is that Combs skating yet? My understanding is no. Rehabbing, and it's going quite well, but not yet on the ice. So there you have it. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Sean Brown, all of our guests, thanks so much for listening. Enjoy the second round of the playoffs starting tonight in the NHL, that is. Maple Leafs and the Panthers. NBA second round continues on. You already got the Knicks taking on the Celtics after a little bit of an upsetting game on the Pacers, beating the Cavaliers on Sunday. Then, of course, you've got Golden State later on. Also, OKC and Denver. That's going to be a hell of a series. Can't wait, man. Looking forward to it. Love the playoffs. Love it. Let's get to the Con Man, a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Ewell, your partner in power since 1975. For all your electrical gear, there's only one shop. It's EWEL.ca. Have a great day.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
We're about 15 minutes away from puck drop as the Leafs host the Panthers game 1 of their second round series out in Toronto. Off the ice, the NHL draft lottery come and gone. The New York Islanders will be selecting first overall. They only had a 3.5% chance to get the pick. Only team with less probability, the Rangers at 3%. That means the Sharks take second, followed by the Blackhawks and Utah HC coming at 4. The Los Angeles Kings and general manager Rob Blake have mutually agreed to part ways. Nashville Predators general manager Barry Trotz telling reporters today that head coach Andrew Brunette will be around next season, coming off a year where they finished third last in the league. And Minnesota Wild goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury will play for Team Canada at the IIHF Men's World Championship. This will be Fleury's first time representing Canada at the Worlds. He'll join former teammate Sidney Crosby. The tournament will take part in Denmark and Sweden later this month. In the association, 2 games tonight. Right now, Celtics have a 40-38 lead over the Knicks with 7 minutes left in the first half. Later tonight, you got the Nuggets and Thunder meeting in OKC. Tip-off at 7:30. Major League Baseball, a few games underway. Dodgers on top of the Marlins 5-0 in the 5th. The Braves have a 2-0 lead over the Reds in the 3rd. And the Pirates on top of the Cards 2-0 midway through the 1st. Later tonight, Diamondbacks Mets. Mariners in Sacramento taking on the Athletics, and the Nationals Guardians now postponed due to weather in Washington. And from the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens releasing kicker Justin Tucker. Tucker does have 8 accusations of inappropriate behavior by 16 massage therapists from 8 different Baltimore spas and wellness centers. The team did draft Tyler Loop in the NFL draft, and an organization does insist this is a football decision. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio all night. Live local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. with Kevin Carius and Brandon Douglas. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station, broadcasting on Treaty 6 Stereo.